Chapter 323. Sensing that Yolashanda had finally shifted his attention to himself, Ao Daisai was still nervous about his emotions. The smile in Ao Daisai's eyes was no longer intangible, but became real and light-hearted. He immediately licked Yolashanda's ear, as if it was just a small joke and he was not jealous. Yolashanda did not know whether to laugh or cry. He knew that Ao Daisai would never forget that his partner was originally a human. So when he saw a young and good-looking human, Ao Daisai would still be vigilant. He looked sick. Ao Daisai returned to normal and observed the blue-eyed young man standing on the shore. Through the interaction with the sailors, he and Yolashanda felt that this was a good businessman. Otherwise, he would not be willing to share the goods on the ship with the poor, biotic people. Yolashanda suddenly remembered that tuberculosis was very popular in Europe in the 18th and 19th centuries. He was worried that if this continued, this young businessman would become seriously ill. No, he could not watch a kind-hearted young man die of tuberculosis. But as two white wolves, what could they do? Yolashanda thought for a while, and his eyes suddenly stared at the Alaskan Malamutes pulling the sleigh. His chest felt hot, and he suggested to Ao Daisai, "Let's also carry the wood together. Let them quickly repair the ship." Ao Daisai thought that Yolashanda wanted to join in the fun, so he naturally agreed. So he brought Yolashanda to join the ranks of pulling the sleigh. In history, without the help of this group of Alaskan Malamutes, the ship had taken a long time to repair, but now, dozens of Alaskan Malamutes were pulling the wood to the shore. Their enthusiasm for work deeply affected the sailors and the biotic people who helped. This scene, full of hope, of course, also affected the young businessman who was ill, allowing him to recuperate in peace and not worry about the delay of the goods. Are those two white wolves? They don't look like dogs. Yolashanda and Ao Daisai helped pull the sleigh, and their distinctive handsome figures entered everyone's eyes and soon attracted the young businessman's attention. Because he liked wolves very much, he felt that these two snow-white fellows were very similar to wolves, but their tails were upturned. "Sir, they are two dogs. You must believe me." A sailor swore. "I touched them. If it was a wolf from the mountain, how could it mix in with the dogs?" The young businessman thought so too. His handsome face was slightly disappointed, but soon he smiled again. Even if they were not wolves, they were still two excellent white dogs. The Beatoks were more confused than anyone else about the two white wolves helping to pull the wood, because they knew very well that these were not dogs at all. They were indeed wolves. The fact that the intelligent white wolf was willing to help these outsiders showed that these outsiders were trustworthy. Thus, the vigilant Beatok people were slightly relieved. As a result, they were even more motivated to work. They contributed all the wood they had previously stored and repaired the young merchant's boat inside and out. They also learned a lot from it, and this experience was enough for them to build a boat that could withstand the wind and waves in the future. After the big boat was successfully repaired, the young merchant also gave a lot of things to the Beatoks. Although the two sides could not communicate, Yolashanda still heard the young merchant promise that he would bring more good things to visit next time. Knitted fabrics, daily necessities, pots and jars, and so on. These were all things that the Beatoks had never seen before, and they regarded them as treasures. This kind young merchant also noticed that the village was lacking in necessities, salt, and of course medicine. He would write down these details in his notebook with a quill pen in the quiet night. In his voyage diary, there were also two handsome white dogs. On the morning of the big boat leaving, the whole village came to the shore to send it off. The strong men helped the sailors to push the boat out, and the moment they succeeded, there were happy cheers on the shore. Yolashanda and Ao Daisai were also there. As the two of them were really outstanding, most people would admire them again and again. This included the young merchant who had boarded the big boat. He stood on the deck and looked down, his eyes fixed on Yolashanda, as if he was still confused about Yolashanda's identity. Was he really not a wolf? Yolashanda had always been very sensitive to other people's gazes. After more than 3 seconds, he automatically found the source of the gaze and met the other party's eyes. Oh, so was the owner of this boat. What was he looking at? Yolashanda was not pressured by other people's gazes, but he had to explain it to this friend of his. Ao Daisai. He is just purely admiring my beauty. It is impossible between him and me. Ao Daisai looked a little helpless. I know. You don't have to be nervous. The young merchant and Yolashanda looked at each other for a few seconds. At first, he doubted the sailor's words and thought that Yolashanda might really be a dog. However, dogs would not have this kind of gaze. A wolf with its tail up could only be said to be too smart. The young merchant showed a smile that only he understood, because he was now in the same situation as the two white wolves who pretended to be dogs. The people around him thought that he was a dog, but they did not know that he was a wolf. The sailors and the biotic people waved goodbye to each other. It took a long time for peace to be restored. The wood stored in the village last year was almost used up. Next, the people were divided into two groups. One group went to cut wood, and the other group built houses in the village. The Alaskans were still very busy. They had to do a lot of work every day, but they never lacked food in the company of their master. Yolashanda, who was too lazy to produce juice, felt that the work was too tiring after helping to repair the boat once. It was not suitable for a delicate flower like him. Fortunately, the villagers did not expect them to work. Even if they saw them wandering around the village doing nothing, they would occasionally feed them. Slowly, the people figured out that the two white wolves only ate fresh fish and were very good at catching seals. The villagers followed the white wolves and could get a seal skin to make clothes for their families. In the past, cutting wood was a very difficult thing to do. The biotic people did not have any handy tools, so they could only accumulate a small amount of wood all year round. It was already a very great act of kindness to be able to contribute all their wood to strangers. But this time they got two axes, and the effect of cutting wood with axes was countless times stronger than in the past. The Alaskans could not pull them over. With more wood, they would be able to build more sturdy houses. Perhaps when the next snowstorm came, their homes would not be destroyed by the storm. This group of biotic people was really busy. They were working even at night. Didn't they know that it was very dangerous? Yolashanda was tired of eating seaside food and planned to go back to the mountains with Ao Daisai for a change. Then he found that the biotic people were working at night. It seemed that they wanted to get more wood as soon as possible. They understood the urgency of the villagers to rebuild their homes, but it was late at night. It was very dangerous. Just because the wolves did not attack the village did not mean that they would not attack the people in the mountains. Moreover, there were other wild beasts in the mountains. Fortunately, the biotic people were not stupid. They used seal oil and lit a fire one by one, trying to use it to deter the wild beasts. 5 to 6 dogs pulled a sled, and one person held a torch to control the direction, transporting the wood home. As there were fewer people available, even the old man with white hair came out to help. It's very dangerous to work at night. If the wild beasts take it away halfway, it'll be gone. They don't care about themselves, but they have to think about the dogs. Seriously. After Yolashanda had dinner, he stayed beside Ao Daisai and nagged. One moment, he complained about the biotic people, and the next, he was concerned about the Alaskans. Night was the time for wild beasts to come out to hunt. This caused him and Ao Daisai to not dare to rest in peace. Even if they did not look at the humans, they still looked at the dogs. They all spontaneously kept an eye on them. An old uncle held a torch in his hand. He led the sled on a passionate journey. Yolashanda and Ao Daisai followed from distance. At this moment, they felt like old mothers who were worried sick. Yolashanda, I'm so sleepy. I really want to go back and sleep. Why aren't these people tired yet? Boo-hoo. Ao Daisai. Wolves were nocturnal animals. Forget it. No matter what kind of animal it was, Yolashanda liked to move around during the day and sleep at night. No, to be precise, other than eating, drinking, and playing, it was best to sleep the rest of the time. The two white wolf bodyguards, who did not charge for work, worked until the middle of the night. The group of biotic people finally decided to call it a day. The two white wolves, who had secretly helped to solve a lot of trouble, also hurried off work. What shocked Yolashanda the most was that when he woke up, Ao Daisai told him that the group of biotic people had already started work for a long time. Yulashanda thought about them and then thought about himself. He said, "Oh," and then turned over with a clear conscience. Easy. Otherwise, after the night shift, they still wanted him to work consecutive shifts. Dream on. The island was not far from the New Zealand mainland. After the merchant ship left here, it arrived at the port a day later. The goods on the ship arrived on time and did not cause any damage. After the young merchant got off the ship, he immediately went to the hospital for medical treatment because he was also afraid that he would contract tuberculosis and die. This disease was too common now. Every year, a large number of young people died from the claws of tuberculosis. He could only say that he went to the hospital in time. The doctor told him that if the situation dragged on for another 2 days, it might be hard to say. But now it was just a severe cold. If he was carefully treated and nursed back to health, he would recover. The young merchant was very grateful. He felt that the 2 days he stayed on the island were a blessing from the god of luck. He was not a New Zealander. After recuperating here, he had to return to his own country. Before returning, the young merchant gave a piece of paper to his vice captain and said, "These are the things I need to bring on the ship. Please go and purchase them." When the vice captain saw these densely packed items, he knew who the sir was planning for. He once again sighed that the sir he followed was so kind. When the sir recovered, 20 days had passed. The village on the island was almost built. When they saw that the big ship had returned, the men were a little suspicious. First, they sent a few people to take a look. The sailors were moving supplies to the shore. When the Biotic people saw this, they hurriedly cheered and went back to report. After a while, a group of people came over. Not only did they come, but they also brought dogs and sleds. Of course, they still could not communicate with each other. The young merchant stood on the deck and did not get off the ship. He smiled as he watched the sailors and villagers busy themselves. In the end, his eyes seemed to be looking around for something. But unfortunately, he did not find the 2 white wolves that had left a deep impression on him. Yes, because it was too early, Yulashanda had not woken up yet. If he had woken up, he would have come to watch the fun. The author has something to say. The free Yulashanda can sleep whenever he wants and work whenever he wants. Speaking of which, it has been more than a month since the ending. I did not expect that there would be more false rumors about this book on the internet. I posted 5 Weibo posts to clarify the rumors, but they were blocked and I could not speak. I'm not depressed. My focus has never been how many people scolded me. I'm concerned about how many people like and understand this story like me. This is the original intention of writing this story. Thank you for your continued support, _W. Chapter 3:24. By the time Yulashanda woke up, the outside world had already changed. The poor and backward Biotic people had received an unimaginable amount of supplies from the young merchants, which had greatly improved the primitive life in the village. Because there was no medical treatment on the island and no stable residents, a group of old, weak, and disabled people in the village would die of illness in the winter of previous years. This year was very different. Not only did they not lose too much property in the winter, but they also received many daily necessities from the outsiders. The harvest filled the village with the joy of a bumper harvest. Both the children and the animals were full of vitality, but they did not intend to take the outsiders' things for free. When they returned to the shore, they nervously brought a kind of ore. Why were they nervous? In fact, the Biotic people did not know that this was called ore. They just thought that this thing was very beautiful and was the only thing they could barter with, just like they would last time. Unfortunately, they did not have any extra wood now. They did not know if the outsiders would like these stones. The ore that the Biotic people brought was a metal ore, which could be seen everywhere in the mountains in summer. However, such good things were not popular at the moment, which made the sailors a little embarrassed. It was the first time they had seen someone return a gift with a stone. Only the young merchants who had received higher education knew that they might have hit a big business. So he calmly accepted these gifts in return, and his liking for the ore also made the Biotic people feel at ease. Since then, the Biotic people had become accustomed to bartering. Because the Biotic people knew that the ore was useful, they usually had another job in addition to cutting wood in the mountains, mining ore. At first, Yulashanda did not know why these people were digging snow. They had not cut enough wood yet, so why did they start digging the ground in the mountains again? When he saw the shiny ore, he was immediately shocked. Oh my God, there was ore here? But this was not a good thing. Yulashanda's heart sank. It should be known that treasuring a jade ring was a crime. The indigenous people in Western history did not have a good ending. If outsiders knew that there was ore here, it would be strange if this place was not occupied. At that time, merchants would come to the mountains to mine, and the animals would also be in a terrible situation. What Yulashanda did not know was that the Biotic people had already exchanged the ores for supplies. The simple and honest Aborigines knew nothing about the outside world, let alone that their homes might be invaded by force. In fact, he and Ao Daisai were partly responsible for the friendliness of the Biotics to outsiders. It was all because they were friendly to outsiders as well. Yulashanda. This is called civilization. Unfriendly? Was he going to pounce on them and bite them? How could they be so barbaric? Also, they were just two white wolves who were freeloaders. Why did the Biotics trust them so much? Shouldn't he have his own opinions? How should I put this? Yulashanda still underestimated his sneaky actions. For example, they escorted the villagers' sled dogs home after the snowstorm. They were not Biotics, so they had no way of knowing how grateful the Biotics were. There were also villagers cutting wood in the mountains, and they patiently guarded. Yulashanda? ? Without protection, he was just a senseless supervisor. When he was young, he would go to the construction site near his home to watch the excavators work. He would stay there for the whole day. These actions that Yulashanda thought were normal were miracles in the eyes of humans. They firmly believed that everything would get better from the day the white wolves protected them. This, Yulashanda could not deny it. He knew very well that the backward islands could only improve by learning from the outside world. Otherwise, they would be eliminated sooner or later if they developed slowly. The merchant ship that came to the island sailed for nearly a month at sea and passed by many ports before finally returning to its own country. Before the sailors disembarked, they received a strange order. For some reason, the captain did not allow them to talk about the island with the people on land. They were not allowed to mention a single thing. Especially when they went to drink, they had to remember to keep their mouths shut. Otherwise, there would be no place for them on this merchant ship. This punishment was too severe. Everyone put away their mischievous smiles and took it seriously, because if they left this merchant ship, they would not be able to find a better job right now. Once someone found out that they were chased out by a certain gentleman, no captain in the entire industry would be willing to hire them. The reason why this young merchant owned a considerable amount of property at such a young age was not only because he knew how to do business, but also because his identity was very prominent. At the end of the 18th century, there were some people who could still obtain land and do whatever they wanted on their land. They were the local tyrants. Even in later generations, they could still privatize certain land. This young merchant was such a person. After going out to sea for 3 months, the first thing he wanted when he returned to his country was that he wanted a certain island to belong to him. To the people in his country, it was an unfamiliar island. There was nothing to develop there. The inland was vast and had abundant resources, but the population was sparse. They had not even developed the inland properly. However, an island could not be given away just like that. If they used money to exchange for it, the chances of success would be higher. The young merchant hesitated for a few days before finally agreeing to spend money to obtain the private rights to the island. Not long after, his country issued a notice that the remote island was divided into his fief. As the country he was in was a powerful country that expanded its territory everywhere, the people were already used to such things, and no one would be jealous of someone who owned an island. They had a long-term vision. After doing all this, the tail end of winter was over. At this time, the island was overflowing with spring, as if it had awakened again. At this time, the wolves on the mountain began to become more active. They organized large-scale contact parties day and night. Because the snow had melted, the villagers could see these snow-white elves more easily than in winter. As soon as the moon rose, Yulashanda heard waves of wolf howls from afar. This was a relay race of communication or some kind of ritual. Sometimes, the white wolves would use their voices to show their strength and boost morale. This was a unique heritage of wolves. Yulashanda was also a wolf. Although he was lying lazily on the ground, it did not prevent him from opening his mouth and howling. Of course, howling while lying down was definitely not as powerful as howling while standing up. It inevitably sounded a little perfunctory. Therefore, after he finished howling, no other wolf took over for a long time. Why Fatty C? Yulashanda, who had just entered casually, felt a little awkward. What's wrong? Is my beautiful voice unable to arouse your desire to howl? After waiting for a while, no wolf spoke up to save his dignity. The awkward Yulashanda could only ask Ao Daisai for help. He said softly, "Cough, Ao Daisai. It seems like it's your turn." Ao Daisai narrowed his eyes slightly. His wolf face showed confusion. After thinking for a while, he understood what Yulashanda meant. Did he want him to howl? Although he did not know why his mate would have such a strange request, Ao Daisai was very willing. He nodded and howled in his current half-lying position. In the end, his chin was already facing the sky. Unlike Yulashanda's perfunctory howl, Ao Daisai's howl was very authentic and deep. Once it rang out, it attracted the attention of all the white wolves. Yulashanda, who was very close to Ao Daisai, felt his scalp go numb when he heard it. He felt his blood rushing to his head. What made his scalp go numb was that after that, there were intense howls everywhere, as if they were responding to Ao Daisai's summons. And it did not stop. Yulashanda could not help but feel a little anxious. Would those wolves come to meet Ao Daisai? In order to prevent this from happening, Yulashanda got up and urged Ao Daisai, "Let's find another place to spend the night." He would never let those wolves with bad intentions get close to Ao Daisai. Was a little cutie afraid that her mate would be snatched away? Ao Daisai thought, uncertainly based on the other party's reaction. Of course, he hoped that was the case. It turned out that Yulashanda was also worried that he would be snatched away. This made Ao Daisai so happy that he wagged his tail quietly. Of course, his expression was still the same, a little indifferent and a little cold. Usually, Yulashanda liked to raise his fluffy tail, just like Alaska, because he felt that lowering his tail was very gloomy and did not fit his sunny and handsome wolf persona. Ao Daisai, on the other hand, liked to lower his tail halfway, with the tip of his tail slightly raised, similar to when he was an adult cat. He gave people the impression that he was very defensive and introverted. If there was a place that could effectively hide from the wolves, it would undoubtedly be the place where the Beatuk people usually mined. Very few wolves would come here. The next day, when people saw two familiar white wolves sleeping beside the mine, they were not surprised. They even took out food to feed them. Of course, Yulashanda and Ao Daisai usually did not eat. These Beatuk people ate worse than them. Basically, they ate some cold food and started to work hard to mine so that they could continue to exchange things the next time a merchant ship passed by. Yulashanda was very worried about them. He did not know whether it was a blessing or a curse to have a mine. Just like that, time passed day by day. Under the influence of the warm air, the people on the island happily took off their thick leather clothes. Then, they put on the spring clothes that the merchant ship had brought before. These clothes were simpler and more comfortable than the clothes that they made themselves. It was convenient for them to work. In just 3 months, the village had collected a lot of ore, and people were looking forward to the arrival of the familiar ship. After the weather became warmer, the men would also fish in addition to mining. Without the snow covering the shore, even the two white wolves often hunted on the shore. They even shamelessly jumped onto the Beatuk ship. This was because some fish did not go near the shore and had to go out to catch them. The Beatuk people welcomed the white wolves onto the ship. They thought that this was a blessing from God. As long as they brought the white wolves out, they would be able to come back safely. Therefore, people were eager to have the white wolves on their ship. They did not know whether it was a coincidence or not, but with Yulashanda and Ao Daisai's ship, they could indeed be safe every time and catch a lot of fish. On this day, Yilashanda and Ao Daisai went out to sea again with the Beatuk people. When they reached the surface of the sea where the fish gathered, they did not hesitate to dive into the sea and dive down to catch fish. Yilashanda listened to the familiar sound of diving in his ears. This kind of life seemed to have returned to the past, when he and Ao Daisai were still so free. Looking at the target, he opened his mouth and bit a big fish. Then, with a kick of his legs, his whole body swam up. The Beatuk people suddenly saw the water on the surface of the sea surging. Then, the white wolf rushed out of the water with a splash and sent a half-dead big fish to the ship. One big fish was not enough to eat. Yilashanda still wanted to flip over and go down to catch it. He believed that the Beatuk people would not touch his lunch. After Yilashanda went down, Ao Daisai also floated up. He had an even bigger fish in his mouth, which was very shocking. He glanced at Yilashanda's small fish next to him indifferently. He did not have any intention of looking down on him at all. He just felt that Yilashanda was really cute. He could have done it in one trip, but he made a few more trips just to have fun. The author has something to say. Yilashanda is really cute. Everyone wants to steal him. Chapter 325. It could only be said that Ao Daisai had a good understanding of Yilashanda and could easily see through Yilashanda's little scheme. Previously, due to the cold weather, they did not have the opportunity to go into the water, and the fish in the sea were out of their reach. Now that it was finally the right season to go into the sea, Yilashanda played a little crazily during this period of time. After familiarizing himself with the long-lost swimming skills in the water, Yilashanda floated to the surface with a splash with a fish in his mouth. At this time, he saw the ship coming from afar. The young merchant, who was going to the island for the first time after receiving the fief, was looking at the Beatuk people fishing on the deck. Then, he was pleasantly surprised to see the white wolf that he had been thinking about appear on the water with a fish in his mouth. This was an incredible scene. The merchant ship appeared again. Yilashanda and the other party looked at each other for a moment, then shook his wet ears and turned to swim back to the ship. The Beatuk people were very happy. They had been waiting for this day for 3 months. Now that the merchant ship had finally appeared, everyone was so excited that they stopped fishing and immediately returned to exchange things. They did not know that the young man did not come purely to exchange things this time. They came prepared. As soon as the fishing boat docked, the 2 white wolves immediately jumped on the reef and stood on it to shake off the water stains on their bodies. Then they stared at the big ship. "Sir, it's your turn." Hearing the sailor say that the young merchant came to the boat through the rope ladder and then to the shore, the sharp-eyed Yilashanda saw a stack of national flags lying on the other party's legs. He recognized which country's national flag it was at a glance. What did this mean? Just as they were on tenterhooks, the handsome young man smiled. Obviously, he was also looking at the 2 white wolves, as if he was surprised that the 2 white wolves would be waiting for them on the shore. After he went ashore, he reached out and touched Yilashanda, who was closest to him. A string of very accented English came out of his mouth very happily. "We meet again, Mr. White Wolf." Yilashanda immediately took 2 steps back and stared at the national flag in the other party's hand. Because he had studied history, he knew that a certain country in this period was a robber who invaded everywhere. If he knew that this person had bad intentions, he would definitely make him stand on the island and float away. The young man's hand missed, but he was not embarrassed. He noticed that the white wolf was staring at the flag in his hand as if it was repulsed, so he comforted it. "There's no need to be afraid. This is just a flag." Under Yilashanda's distrustful gaze, he patiently explained, "Plant this flag on this island and it will be safe." "Do you understand? Safe?" Under Yilashanda's widened eyes, the young man ordered the sailors to hang up the flag. From their conversation, Yilashanda and Ao Daisai finally figured out the truth. It turned out that this place had become the merchant's fief, and he was very friendly to the Beatuk people on the island. Yilashanda would never have dreamed that things would turn out this way. While he was relieved, he gossiped with Ao Daisai. "Fief. Ao Daisai, do you know what kind of person can have a fief?" Ao Daisai definitely did not know such details of foreign history. If he did not know, he would not have been able to participate in Yulashanda's conversation. Just as he was reflecting on his lack of knowledge, little Cutie's chatter made him understand that it did not matter if he knew or not. He just had to listen. Let me tell you, people who have a fief these days are usually not ordinary people. They can only be aristocrats. I guess he's either a marquis or an earl. His status is definitely not low. European aristocrats. Yulashanda felt that he had traveled back in time from modern society to Europe at the end of the 18th century. Previously, he did not feel that it was real, but now that he saw a real aristocrat, it was very vivid. God, he really wanted to see how grand Paris was now. The world's cultural and artistic capital. A large number of geniuses emerged during this period, but in the next 100 years, it was no longer as glorious. Oh, I see. A.O. Daisai nodded. After the excitement, Yulashanda told A.O. Daisai about his worries objectively. This was because the country that the young man was from was not a good country. He did not hesitate to tell A.O. Daisai all these bad things. A.O. Daisai was forced to listen to a lot of the country's dark history. At the same time, he could feel Yulashanda's hatred for evil. He could distinguish between right and wrong, righteousness and bravery. Yulashanda, who had finished talking, said, "Don't worry. If he dares to have any bad intentions, I will make sure he fails at all costs." A.O. Daisai thought to himself, "As your partner, I will also support you." After a few seconds, the young man whistled and called out to Yulashanda, "Hey, do you want to eat smoked ham?" Yulashanda, who was feeling indignant just a moment ago, shook his tail and said to A.O. Daisai, "Let's not talk anymore. I'm going to be a spy." After that, he ran towards the young man happily. A.O. Daisai, as a smart wolf who understood Yulashanda very well, he knew that Yulashanda was not feigning civility. The other party really wanted to eat it. A.O. Daisai did not know whether to laugh or cry. After thinking about it, he could only follow suit because he also wanted to eat smoked ham with bread. Realizing that the villagers were going to transport the ores to the ship, the young man stopped them. Due to the language barrier, they had difficulty understanding each other. It turned out that the merchant ship would not leave immediately. They planned to stay here for about 2 months to see if they could improve the situation here more thoroughly. This time, the merchant ship not only brought supplies but also education. 2 language teachers were in charge of teaching the Beatoks to speak English so that they could communicate. In fact, it was not just English. The role of the teachers covered almost everything in life. This was what the Beatoks especially needed now. Regarding such a change, the Beatoks were at a loss at first. The presence and dominance of outsiders made them feel insecure. They did not know if this was right or wrong. At this time, it was the doctor's turn to come on stage. The appearance of the doctor cured the patients with minor illnesses in the village. Just by looking at the surprised eyes of the Beatoks, one could tell that they must be praying to God in their hearts. After all, this was inconceivable to them. The sailors were busy opening up a spacious piece of land to build houses. Of course, the houses here were not simple wooden houses. What they were going to build were stone houses. There were many ready-made stones by the sea, but in the past, the Beatoks had never known that stones could be used to build houses. Of course they could. By mixing sand and homemade adhesive together, they could fix the gaps between stones. 100 years ago, buildings were all built like this. The young noble who usually patrolled the island accidentally found that the land here was very fertile. The temperature in spring, summer, and autumn might be very suitable for planting, so he went back again to search for seeds and some livestock that could be raised. The Beatoks had never come into contact with grains, let alone know that these things could be grown and eaten, but they knew the use of livestock. This was very good. The women and children in the village were very happy to take over the task of raising livestock and farming, which made their daily lives more than just processing food and making fishing nets. Seeing the development of the village in an orderly manner, Yulashanda was very relieved. He finally believed that the owner of the island really wanted to manage the island well. It was now around July. The corn seedlings in the field were growing green, and the various livestock in the village were growing healthily. Because the weather was too hot, Yolashanda and Ao Daisai had shed a layer of hair. They looked furry in the winter, but in the summer, they were smaller because the amount of hair was less and the color was darker. This was the magic of species. If they still had snow-white hair in the summer, they would be particularly conspicuous in the wild, and it would be easy to expose their whereabouts. They, who liked water, rarely went back to live in the mountains. Anyway, everyone on the island knew them and almost regarded them as the Alaskans of the village. This morning, something big happened in the village, and the whole village fell into a solemn atmosphere. As usual, Yolashanda and Ao Daisai wandered around the village after eating their fill. Then they saw a group of people gathered in a certain place, as if something had happened. They, who liked to join in the fun, went over to take a look and saw the remains of livestock and blood all over the ground. What was going on? The arrival of the two white wolves also attracted the attention of the people. Countless pairs of eyes looked at them with complicated expressions, because the people had reason to suspect that this was the doing of the white wolves on the mountain. Of course, the deaths of the livestock had nothing to do with the two white wolves that the villagers were familiar with. Everyone believed that these two white wolves would never attack the livestock in the village. It's not them. It should be the wolves on the mountain. The noble youth who liked white wolves quickly spoke up to prevent the people from taking their anger out on the two white wolves. He, who had the ability to lead, quickly came up with a solution. I suggest strengthening the fence so that the wolves can't enter. Then, let a few dogs guard here. Once there's any movement, we'll come out to solve the problem. Yolashanda and Ao Daisai finally understood what was going on, but they were very curious. There was no shortage of food on the mountain in this season, so why did the wolves attack the livestock in the village? Was it convenient and fast? That was too lazy. They must not start this, otherwise the relationship between humans and wolves would get worse and worse. In order to develop a friendly relationship between humans and wolves, Yolashanda and Ao Daisai voluntarily came over to help keep watch at night. At this time, the fence had been raised and strengthened. They tested it back and forth and were sure that ordinary wolves would not be able to jump over. The Alaskan Malamute who was in charge of keeping watch tonight was also a familiar friend of theirs. Both sides were very friendly and spent time together. In the first half of the night, the Alaskan Malamutes were quite energetic, but in the second half of the night, they were all snoring. Yolashanda sighed. They are so unprofessional. Even if they have external help, they can't be so lax. If he had known earlier, he would have hidden in the dark and not given the dogs any chance to be lazy. Ao Daisai rubbed his nose. You sleep too. I will wake you up if there is any movement. Yolashanda was used to sleeping at night and moving around during the day. Usually, Yolashanda would be asleep at this time. No, I am not sleepy. Yolashanda shook his head. Although he did not bite the livestock to death, he felt that he should do something. Otherwise, he would feel uneasy. He was thinking that it would be good if all the wolves knew how to protect themselves. That way, they would not be exposed to the sight of humans and become targets for humans to aim at. Okay, Ao Daisai whispered. Both sides whispered in each other's ears until a faint sound came from afar. This made them feel energized. Good guys, they were really not afraid of death. They dared to come 2 nights in a row. I will go and take a look first. Ao Daisai asked Yolashanda to wait for him here, and then he went over first. The moon was very bright tonight. Ao Daisai saw the existence of the few wolves from afar. He was slightly stunned because it was a skinny female wolf with 6 half-grown wolf pups. Yolashanda guessed wrong. The wolf who stole the chicken was not lazy. She just had no choice. The author has something to say. Yolashanda immediately changed sides. Brother Little Bear stole the chicken for you guys to eat. The 2 faces were referring to Chow Little Bear. Chapter 3:26. Ao Daisai, who was prepared to defend himself, froze in place. He did not dare to disturb the wolves who came to steal the chickens, nor did he dare to disturb the snoring Alaskan Malamutes. If the 3 Alaskan Malamutes were woken up, they would bark loudly and alert the whole village. At that time, the mother wolf with her cubs might lose her life. It could be seen that they risked their lives to steal food in the village last night. They could be discovered by the Alaskan Malamutes at any time. Ao Daisai. Yulashanda felt that Ao Daisai had not moved for a long time. She could not help but crept up quietly and then froze in place with her boyfriend. Woo 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 woo. A group of wolf cubs. They were so cute. They had not shed their fetal hair and looked no different from puppies. They were all hiding beside their mother wolf. The mother wolf seemed to be communicating with the babies by touching and licking them. Then, she raised her head and continued to observe. Her thin figure and dim eyes were particularly sad. Yulashanda murmured, "So they were the ones who stole the chickens last night. So pitiful. Where's the father wolf?" With that last sentence, he looked sadly at Otis. Everyone knew that wolves were very loyal. Under normal circumstances, they would not abandon their partners and children. "I don't know. Maybe they are dead," Ao Daisai said. He did not bully the old, weak, sick, or disabled. Seeing this situation, he had already lost his desire to fight. He also lay down and chatted with Yulashanda. There was a situation in the wolf pack called the replacement of the old wolf king. Perhaps when the mother wolf was pregnant, her partner was unfortunately killed by the new wolf king. In order to give birth to her partner's child, she secretly left the wolf pack and escaped the trouble of the new wolf king. At the same time, she became a single mother. This required a very strong ability to do. It could be seen that the mother wolf's fighting strength was not weak. When the mother wolf left the cubs behind and approached the villagers' chicken shed step by step, she suddenly saw two strong male wolves blocking the middle of the road. She immediately retreated and turned around to leave without looking back. The wolf cubs seemed to be very sensitive. They sensed the signal given by their mother and immediately ran away in the dark with their tails between their legs. A group of small, thin, and weak fur balls disappeared into the bushes in an instant. Yulashanda and Ao Daisai did nothing to scare the other party away. However, they were not happy because this was not the reason why they were here. However, natural selection was a very normal thing. At present, the animal ecology on the island was very balanced. There was no overpopulation of animals, and no animal was on the verge of extinction. The most they should do was not interfere. He felt that Yulashanda had been staring blankly at the night sky for a long time. Without a doubt, she was attracted to the furry cub again. His little cutie still loved cubs so much, even when he was a cub. Ao Daisai understood the logic, but it was incomparable to Yulashanda's feelings. He slowly moved closer to her and pressed his forehead against Yulashanda's, breaking the silence. "Do you wish for those wolf pups to survive?" Yulashanda suddenly came back to her senses from the sea of furry fur. Facing Ao Daisai's question, she actually felt guilty. Yes, of course she wanted to. However, that was not right. If they saved those wolf pups, they would have to kill more deer immediately. Comparing the two, Yulashanda could not be nosy. The ecological chain was very healthy now, and there was no need for them to interfere. Therefore, Yulashanda quickly shook her head. I don't want to." Her tone was not firm at all, and it was obvious that she did not mean what she said. Ao Daisai rarely felt sorry for Yulashanda because Yulashanda lived a carefree life under his protection. She was happy and could have whatever she wanted. However, at this moment, his eyes showed that he felt sorry for her. Because he felt sorry for her, he hugged Yulashanda. Ao Daisai gently comforted her. "Little bear, you are too harsh on yourself." He hoped that Yulashanda could occasionally be more willful and do what she liked, and not think too much before making a decision and then go against her own wishes. Yulashanda leaned on Ao Daisai's shoulder and was silent for a few seconds. Suddenly, she understood what Ao Daisai meant. Was this guy asking her to say what she liked? Actually, it was not that serious. This was just a decision that did not conflict with her own heart. Although it was a little regretful, no matter how many times she had to choose again, Yulashanda would not choose to interfere with the ecological chain that was already healthy. Knifescar was different. Knifescar was in a cooperative relationship, and they were destined not to take the initiative to save those wolf pups. Aodisai, I am not sad. Yolashanda snorted, and then said righteously, You have to be conscious when you are alive. It is not cool to do whatever you want to do. It is cool to have a clear conscience. If they killed more deer to save the wolf pups that were not related to them, it would not be appropriate at all. Yes, but you can let others save them. Aodisai could tell that Yolashanda was still sad. It was fine if they did not meet, but now that they met, they could not stand by and do nothing. Oh, right? Yolashanda's eyes lit up. God, why didn't he think of it before? He could let the villagers save the wolf pups and raise them as sled dogs. There was also that noble businessman who liked wolves. Yolashanda had enough of being raped by him. Since he liked wolves so much, why not raise a few of them himself? Good idea. Yolashanda stared at his resourceful husband and rubbed his hands in anticipation. When are we going to steal the wolves? Now. Aodisai shook his head. No, the mother wolf is not at the end of the road yet. Let's wait until she gives up the children. After dawn, the Biotic people came to see if the livestock in the chicken shed had been lost. As the Alaskan who had been keeping watch last night had been very quiet, they cleverly guessed that the white wolves did not dare to come for the time being. Or maybe they were scared away by the Alaskan. The two white wolves who had successfully retreated quietly went up the mountain and tracked the whereabouts of the mother wolf and the wolf pups through smell. Without the ready-made food in the village, the mother wolf could not support herself. Yolashanda and Aodisai took the opportunity to take away the two weakest wolf pups when the other party went hunting. But even so, there were still 4 pups waiting to be fed. The chances of them surviving with the mother wolf were very small. The couple who stole the wolf pups had a small calculation in their hearts. First, they brought the 2 wolves who were too hungry to be called out to the village. Without hesitation, they went straight to the aristocratic young man's house, jumped in through the window, and directly sent the wolf pups to the young man. The young man who was reading and writing suddenly saw the 2 weak little things. He was so shocked that he was flustered and did not know what to do. These are wolves? What happened to them? As he spoke, he saw the shriveled stomachs of the wolf pups. He immediately got up and prepared food for the 2 dying animals. First, he asked for fresh meat from the Biotic women who were in charge of cooking. They were responsible for the meals of the whole village, so there was fresh meat and fish every day. Under the watch of Yolashanda and Aodisai, the wolf pups ate the minced meat and water. If they had something to eat every meal in the future, it would not be a problem to survive. The young man, who had never taken care of small animals, instinctively looked for the white wolf who had caused him trouble. However, he found that the other party was no longer by the window. The young man sat by the empty window, thinking about why the white wolf would send the weak wolf pups to him. Did he look like a good person? Well, Yolashanda did not know whether he was a good person or not, but Yolashanda knew that he was a rich man. Although it was said that one should not do unto others what one did not want to be done to them, and should not expect others to do so if one did not want to raise them, nobles were rich. Wouldn't raising a few wolves be more noble? In the future, when he had wolves, he would not have to stare at other wolves. It was killing 3 birds with 1 stone. Yolashanda's thoughts at the moment were, he looked so gentle and liked small animals. He was so nervous when he found out that the wolf pups were dying. In this case, I will steal 2 more for him. With this thought in mind, they went up the mountain and brought back 2 dying wolf pups. The mother wolf could probably take better care of the remaining 2. With the first experience, the aristocratic young man was no longer surprised when he saw the white wolf bringing the wolf pups to his house in the evening. He even touched Yolashanda. This is a litter, right? Other than these 2, are there more? He could take care of the wolf pups while chatting. He was indeed a big shot. Oh, whoa, no more. Yolashanda habitually responded and raised his head. He did not know that it was because of his responsive personality that people liked him. The other cold white wolf was also very charming, but unfortunately, it was difficult to get close to him. The aristocratic young man felt that he understood. He put the new wolf pups into the wooden nest that he had just made today and fed all 4 of them together. Last night's hard work and today's rush seemed to have made Aodisai a little tired. He lay down in the aristocratic young man's house and began to nap with his chin resting on his arm. Yolashanda was worried about the wolf pups, so he squatted by the nest and watched them. It made people feel that he was like a mother. However, those who knew him well knew that he was actually a naughty child who did not grow up. At this time, the mother wolf on the mountain was in low spirits because she thought that the 4 pups had starved to death. She, who was taking care of 2 pups and continuing to make a living, felt more relaxed than before. If she had made a choice earlier, her life might have been better, but she was a mother. She would not give up on her children until she reached the end of the road. In this way, the 4 wolf pups were well taken care of in the aristocratic young man's house. After a few days, they became energetic and did not seem to remember the things that happened in the past. They adapted well to the new environment. Therefore, the master did not restrict their freedom, as long as they knew how to go home when it was time to eat. These 4 little pups, who changed their fates, usually liked to play with Yolashanda. After all, Yolashanda looked very kind, just like their parents in their memories. Yolashanda was quite distressed. He looked at the furry balls at his feet and whispered to Ao Daisai, no way, they won't stick to me, right? Oh, I don't want to raise them. I just want to see others raise them. Hearing this, Ao Daisai was also a little worried. If the 4 wolf pups stuck to him, it would go against Yolashanda's original intention of finding a master for them. Now that it was time for dinner, the aristocratic young man prepared the food for the new members of the family. He stood at the door and knocked on the rice bowl. Come back for dinner. The 4 wolf pups were originally playing happily with Yolashanda, but when they heard the noise, they immediately ran home. They did not have any problems that Yolashanda was worried about at all. Yolashanda, the clown is me. Looking at Yolashanda's betrayed expression, Ao Daisai wanted to laugh but did not dare to. He could only carefully suggest, I'm hungry too. Why don't we see what to eat? Yolashanda, Humph. The author has something to say. Our little bear thinks too highly of himself. Chapter 3:27. Perhaps it was because of the wolves, but from then on, the Beatok village was no longer spied on by wolves. In August, the crops in the fields gradually matured. Yolashanda ate sweet corn, which he had not eaten for a long time. As a wolf, he actually ate 2 corns in one go, shocking the humans. After this crop was harvested, the noble youth returned to the land. He should have gone back long ago, but many things were delayed. Of course, he left many people behind to continue the development and infrastructure here. After being together for so long, Yolashanda was reluctant to say goodbye. He did not know when the other party would come back, so he tricked the 4 wolf pups that he left behind and said, Your father doesn't want you anymore. After all, the other party did not say when he would come back. How could a poor island be more attractive than a big city? Who knew if he would never return? In fact, Yolashanda had wronged the other party. The other party had only gone back to deal with matters related to the mining of ores. This required some preparation. It was not appropriate to publicize it before it was ready. During the time when the owner of the island was not around, life in the village was thriving and operating as usual. The effects of the teachers and doctors were obvious. The whole village had changed a lot. The Beatok people's lives were obviously much happier than before. They all liked the current days very much. Everyone's faces were full of satisfied smiles. Children were more talented in languages. Many children could already speak some simple English sentences. This way, they could act as translators and let people know what their parents were thinking. The people tasted the benefits of the crops. After harvesting the last batch of potatoes, they planted new crops. However, the timing was not right. The crops planted in autumn had not yet matured when the weather became cold and the crops did not grow. This made the Beatok people very depressed and puzzled. They did not know what the problem was. The teachers told them that it was okay. It was a problem of the climate. They could plant again next year. Thus, the people had hope again. After all, the stewed potato meat was really delicious. The fish cakes made from cornmeal were also delicious. Take the fish cakes made from cornmeal as an example. Yolashanda could eat 5 of them in one go. Other wolves and dogs did not have this treatment. It was only because he was close to the head of the kitchen that he received this treatment. Thanks to him, Ao Daisai did not lack fish cakes. In the early winter morning, Yulashanda was eating hot fish cakes under the roof of a young aristocrat's house. She was proud of herself. How is it? I didn't find the wrong partner, did I? Ao Daisai. Little Bear began to be narcissistic again. He nodded cooperatively and ate happily. Looking at the first light snow in the morning, a thin layer of snow covered the ground. Everyone felt that the merchant ships would not come again this year, and would probably only come next year. Well, a certain busy young noble indeed thought so. But this year's cold was unexpected, and he was worried that the people on the island would not be able to withstand the extreme weather. So, despite his family's objections, he plundered a batch of supplies and went out to sea. Now that the matter of mining had been settled, no matter what he did next, it would be safe and secure. Of course, he had to pay a hefty price for this. For example, he had to share half of the profits from the ore. This was nothing. His original intention of wanting this island was not to profit from it, so it was very fair. The young noble returned to the island with good news. This time, he moved into a stone house that had already been built, which was stronger than a wooden house to withstand the cold. In addition to his stone house, almost every villager had a house. It could be foreseen that next year's snowstorm would no longer be a problem. The Beatok people were given cotton-padded clothes to keep warm. They were so happy that seeing the young captain was like seeing a loved one, and it was the kind that had been lost and recovered. So, they all spontaneously crowded in the spacious yard to warm themselves by the fire and chat, showing that they were unwilling to leave. The children threw potatoes into the fire and began to look forward to the delicious food that would soon come. When the potatoes were cooked, they blinked their innocent eyes and held the black stewed potatoes to the owner of the house, hoping that the other party would accept this gift. A stewed potato. The young noble smiled and shook his head. He took the black potatoes back into the house, cut them with a knife and fork, and put them on a plate. He then sprinkled Shanghai salt and pepper. He felt that this would be a good supper. People stayed in the yard of his house until late at night before they were willing to leave. Now that it was so cold outside, Yulashanda and Ao Daisai did not want to work hard anymore. They thickened their faces and stayed in the house. After more than half a year, the 4 wolf pups had grown up, so the 6 fluffy white wolves crowded on the floor in front of the fireplace looked particularly eye-catching. Yulashanda overbearingly snatched the center position. The warm light of the fire shone on his abdomen, and it was very comfortable. However, the other white wolves also wanted such comfort, so they secretly squeezed in front of him. Question mark. Damn it. Shouldn't this group of young people respect the old and love the young? Yulashanda nudged her boyfriend, hinting that he should take some action. Your partner is being bullied. If it was any other matter, Ao Daisai would certainly stand up for the little bear without hesitation. But now that the temperature was comfortable, he felt that there was no need to care about the position. It's okay. Let him roast. We don't pity him. Ao Daisai looked up, then hugged Yulashanda and continued to sleep. The next morning, Yulashanda saw that the wolf in front of him had a piece of burnt fur. He laughed out loud, finally understanding why Ao Daisai had said that. Yes, they did not pity this white wolf with burnt fur. This year's snowstorm had finally arrived after a long wait. People could not wait to experience the joy of having a house that could not be blown down. The people of Beatok stayed at home, warming themselves by the fire while recalling the shocking scenes of the past years. It would not be emotional. After the weather cleared up, the young noble led the men up the mountain to look for injured animals. They brought back those that could be eaten and those that could be raised. Looking for living creatures in the snow, Yulashanda dragged Ao Daisai and applied for battle. When he was up the mountain, he did not look for anything but the wolf cubs in danger. He brought them back to the rich families one by one. Anyway, the nobles were rich and could afford to raise them. His boyfriend was not interested in the wolf cubs, only in food. After a short while, he brought everyone to find a lot of prey. As a result, the number of wolves in the village increased, and they interbred with Alaskan wolves, inadvertently giving birth to offspring of better quality. Of course, there were also those that were not good and looked like Dezwa. Yulashanda saw that some of these offspring looked very much like Samoyed. He was very surprised. Oh my God, could this be the origin of Samoyed? That was not the case. The origins were different. In this warm winter, everyone had a very happy time. Later, when the ice and snow melted, countless merchant ships came to the island. They were all the young noblemen's men who came here to mine, or when Yulashanda saw such a large scale of settlement, he could not help but worry that the animals on the island would suffer. Fortunately, the island's own crops and domestic animals were enough to provide for the daily consumption of these people. In addition, there was an endless supply of sea fish, so the people basically did not have to work hard to catch wild animals. The bigger reason was that the young noble did not want the island he owned to become a living hell. He had a very high level of cognition and believed that the animals and the indigenous people here should be treated kindly. This was really a decision that changed history. If he had been trapped on the island and got tuberculosis, then the person standing here giving orders today would be another person. In the first half of the year, when the decision was made to start mining and selling, this batch of or brought in a huge amount of income for the island. This income was enough to buy a large amount of materials for construction. Seeing the island change day by day with his own eyes, Yulashanda's heart was happy. If this continued, it would not be long before this place became a modern city. It was worth mentioning that the indigenous people and the local miners gradually intermarried and slowly integrated into the modern culture. They were no longer branded with the label of indigenous people. Perhaps, after many generations, they would become no different from modern people. They would also not be massacred under the pretext of being indigenous. Yulashanda said that these people were the rich generation on the island. If only he could speak, he could tell these people that in the future, the global housing prices would increase crazily. If they had the ability, they should buy more land and houses. Not only did Yulashanda think of this in his heart, he would also discuss it with Ao Daisai. This was because he was too excited to see the rise of the island with his own eyes. For such a money grubber like Yulashanda, he would talk about houses and money. Ao Daisai was already used to it. In order to make his partner happy, he would also go to the mountains and bring back some or every few days. These are all money. Yulashanda would grumble to Ao Daisai that this was considered stealing. One had to know that the entire island belonged to someone else, so the ore was also someone else's. However, this did not prevent him from finding a secret place to hide the ore. When he was happy, he would count it. When he was unhappy, he would also count it. If he took one piece a day, in less than 10 years, he would be a financial bear. Of course, Yulashanda knew that no matter how rich he was, it would be useless. When he and Ao Daisai died, this inheritance would still be returned to the original owner. Later, the history of the island was just as Yulashanda had guessed. The population on the island increased, and the GDP per capita increased. Even after many years of mining, the island became a modern metropolis and a major port for navigation. The animals in the mountains also lived a life without any interference from humans. When the land was developed to a certain extent, people's awareness of environmental protection was awakened overnight. In the end, they did not cross the boundary between flat land and mountainous land to invade the survival paradise of animals and plants. The Biotic people did not exist in later generations. They were seen as a landscape that had existed in history. Of course, their disappearance was not because of massacres, but because of intermarriage. The only change in history was that a rich and generous marquis had appeared in a certain country. This marquis left behind many stories in his life. Among his experiences, there was one that people loved to talk about. It was the story he wrote about him and the two white wolves. This story was written by the marquis himself, as if it was magical. It was both warm and cute. The two white wolves with different personalities each had their own fans who liked them. Yulashanda would never have dreamed that his trivial life and his actions would be recorded in words and spread far and wide. God, didn't a lot of people know that he was lazy, gluttonous, and liked to bully Ao Daisai? If he knew about it, he would be so worried. But more than that, he was curious. If the next time he was in the modern world, could he search for this book? In the real world, Yolashanda only cared about who would benefit from his mines in the end. The author has something to say. Yes, your actions are known by everyone. End of White Wolf story. Chapter 328. It was the smell of disinfectant and the touch of the doctor's gloves. Obviously, the new life they had given birth to this time was not very healthy or even in a very bad condition. Did you pick him up? The doctor looked at the kind young man and said softly, "You really picked up a treasure. Although the cats are still very ugly and unhealthy now, they will be very beautiful when they grow up." Yolashanda heard a pleasant voice say, "It doesn't matter if they are beautiful or ugly, as long as they can survive." The person who spoke was called Lou, a professional game streamer. However, because of technical problems, his popularity had been lukewarm, and his income was barely enough to make ends meet. Lou went out to buy groceries after the rain stopped today. He saw 2 wet kittens on the roadside, so he saved them and sent them to the pet hospital for treatment. This made him, who was not rich to begin with, even worse overnight. However, he still planned to bring the 2 kittens home to add some liveliness to his cold home, as long as the kittens did not despise him for being poor. There was a reason why Lou was poor. He was not a very hard-working person. He always felt that it was enough, as long as his income was enough to support himself. It was not until there were 2 little mouths waiting to be fed at home that the pressure on his shoulders suddenly increased. He used to broadcast for 6 hours a day, but now it was 10 hours a day. His working hours had almost doubled, and of course his income had also doubled. The increased part was just enough for him to raise the kittens. Yolashanda was very unfortunate in this life. He was a sick backyard breed cat, and the black-hearted owner was not sure if he could cure him. So he just threw him out on the street and let the kittens fend for themselves. Ao Daisai and Yolashanda were born in the same cattery. Ao Daisai, who was less than 3 months old, chased after Yolashanda and stayed by his side to take care of him. The heavy rain made them miserable, and both of them were very desperate. Fortunately, a kind person showed up and took them to see a doctor and gave them a warm home. After being saved, Yolashanda's condition finally improved. Ao Daisai, who stayed by his side to accompany him on the 4 drip, was also relieved. Ao Daisai did not eat the canned food and cat strips that Lou prepared until Yolashanda had the strength to eat. Illness has thinned the cat. Yolashanda was so skinny that all that was left of him was wilted fur. He had an oval face and big eyes. He looked ugly. If the doctor had not guessed that he was a ragdoll cat from his fur, he would not have believed that a ragdoll cat could be so ugly. Dealers who breed backyard cats are disgusting. A disease that could be cured with money, but he chose to throw it away. In order to treat her illness, Yolashanda's fur had been shaved off. She looked like a little monster. The doctor was afraid that Lou would find her ugly and give up on her. The doctor wasn't worried about the Maine Coon. In fact, he was very confused about something. The Maine Coon obviously didn't have any health problems, so why was it thrown out like the ragdoll? They were not from the same cattery. Maine Coon had been staying by the ragdoll kitten's side for days without eating or drinking, which made the doctor and Lou believe that if the ragdoll could not be saved, Maine Coon would not want to live anymore. Fortunately, the ragdoll had a strong vitality and would eagerly eat any food that was sent to its mouth. Of course, Yolashanda knew very well that only by working hard could she have the strength to receive treatment. The ugly Yolashanda stayed in the hospital for 5 days. 5 days later, he was taken back to Lee's house since he did not need any infusion. Then they knew that they would live in this simple 2-bedroom apartment from now on. It was not rich, but it was not too shabby. Yolashanda was placed in a comfortable cat bed. Ao Daisai lay beside him and licked him 3 or 4 times a day. Lou was secretly touched by her concern. Sometimes, when Lou was on a live stream and forgot to give her the canned food, Ao Daisai would climb onto the chair and drag Lou to the place where the canned food was placed. Hungry, Lou picked up his phone and looked at the alarm clock that he had set. He realized that it was not time yet, but since the cat was looking for food, he stopped the live stream and went to open the canned food first. "Everyone, please wait for a moment. I will open a can for the cat." Actually, Ao Daisai was not hungry. but he felt that Yolashanda was hungry. He had not eaten for an hour. Cubs needed to eat more than one meal. He had experience. When Lou was preparing the food, Yolashanda stood up shakily and climbed out of the cat bed. "What are you doing? What are you trying to do?" Lou and Ao Daisai rushed over together. A slender hand with distinct joints pulled Yolashanda back. "Yo, you want to break out of prison as soon as you have the strength." The canned food was placed on a plate in the cat bed. When Yolashanda smelled the food, he immediately bent over the plate and ate without a care for his image. Ao Daisai and Lou both watched him eat. Neither of them did what they were supposed to do. It was as if nothing was more important than Yolashanda eating. Ahem. Lou coughed and stopped smiling. He asked Maine Coon, "Why aren't you eating?" Maine Coon was probably too engrossed in watching and did not respond to him. Lou had to stroke him and ask, "I'm talking to you, skinny guy. Aren't you hungry?" Maine Coon's fluffy fur gave him an illusion of being strong, but in fact, he did not feel fat at all. Lou hoped that Maine Coon would eat more and not eat less just to give in to his younger brother. Yes, both cats were male. Although they were not of the same breed, Lou thought that they were the older brother and the younger brother. "Go and eat. Don't worry about the canned food at home." "Okay, I'm going back to the live stream." Ao Daisai looked back at Lee's back with a complicated expression. When he knew about Lee's qualifications and occupation, he was indeed worried that there would be no food at home. With there is no food, Yolashanda would starve. In order to reduce Lee's burden, Ao Daisai ate until they were half full. It did not matter if they did not gain weight, as long as they could eat until they grew up. Yolashanda lay on the plate and ate half of the sweet and delicious minced meat in one go. Then he stepped aside to lick his paws and burped exaggeratedly. The weather was hot, and the remaining food would go bad if he did not eat it. Ao Daisai looked at Lou, who was concentrating on the live stream, and then looked at Yolashanda, whose belly was slightly bulging. In the end, he chose to eat the remaining canned food himself. When he was licking the plate, a warm ball of cuteness rubbed against him and stuck to him very closely. Yolashanda whined and acted like a spoiled child. "Ao Daisai, I don't have fur. It's so cold." Almost as soon as Yolashanda wriggled over, Ao Daisai lay down and hugged him, using his fur to warm him up. Yolashanda did not whine, even though it was painful to be sick and get injections. Alisanda would only speak of trivial matters that did not affect the overall situation. "It's okay. I'll warm you up when I hug you." Ao Daisai hugged the sick Yolashanda as if he was holding a unique treasure. The kitten had limited energy, and before they could whisper more, Yolashanda fell asleep in Ao Daisai's arms. After a hard day of live streaming, Lou started to clean the house and wash the plates after the live stream. He found that the kitten was not sloppy, and there was not even a speck of cat litter around the litter box. The cat bed was also very clean. When the little doll wanted to go to the cat toilet, she would give him a signal. Then he would put the little doll on the litter box, and after she used all her strength to go to the toilet, he would send her back. After doing all this, he made some goat milk powder of a suitable temperature. Previously, the doctor said that the little doll's stomach had not recovered, and it would be better to wait for a while before drinking milk. Now that the little doll's condition was normal, Lou tried to make a small bottle of milk powder. Of course, this small bottle was about half the size of the kitten's body. Lou was prepared to hold the bottle, but as soon as he passed the pacifier to her, the little doll grabbed the bottle and started munching on it. She used her hands and feet to hold the bottle in place as she munched on it noisily. Lou smiled knowingly. "It seems that you like goat milk very much." Ao Daisai, who was next to him, said in his heart, "Wrong. Yolashanda has complained more than once that goat milk tastes bad." Since Maine was also very young, Lou also made a bottle for Maine the cat. Ao Daisai, who pretended to be obedient, pushed the bottle to Yolashanda after the humans left, not only because goat milk did not taste good, but also because he felt that a pacifier did not suit his personality. Yolashanda's body was weak, and drinking goat milk was good for her. She would die if she drank one bottle, okay? Yolashanda kicked the bottle back to Ao Daisai and said breathlessly, "Drink your own milk." Ao Daisai frowned and began to weigh the consequences in his mind. If he did not drink the milk, what would happen? There was no doubt that Lee's impression of him would worsen, and in the end, he might even implicate Yulashanda. This was a situation that Ao Daisai did not want to see. After thinking about all the possibilities, Ao Daisai finally chose to drink all the milk expressionlessly. After the bottle was empty, the two tired kittens huddled together and complained that the goat milk was too strong. After drinking it, they crawled around to pee. Lou also considered the problem of the little doll's pee, and what he did was to put a water-absorbent urinal pad in the cat's nest. But he did not know that the little kittens had to go through a tortuous mental journey to decide to pee on the urinal pad. Ao Daisai thought that the urinal pad was a good thing. With it, he would not have to carry Yulashanda to the cat litter box at night. It was not that he did not want to carry Yulashanda because he was afraid of trouble, but because the hairless Yulashanda's skin was very fragile. Yulashanda, who used to be a king, felt that the urinal pad was a disgrace. He did not need the urinal pad. Ao Daisai took it seriously at first, but for the next few nights, Yulashanda used the urinal pad. He did not try to reason with Yulashanda anymore, because he knew that Yulashanda was just talking about it. That was not the case. Cough. It was an accident a few days ago. Let me tell you, I will not pee in the nest today. After Yulashanda finished speaking, he waited for Ao Daisai to persuade him that holding the urine was not good for the body, and so on. But he waited for a long time, and Ao Daisai did not say anything. Was he asleep? Yulashanda wanted to ask. You don't believe me, do you? But later, after thinking about what he had done, it did not seem that he was trustworthy. No wonder Ao Daisai pretended to be asleep and ignored him. Yulashanda decided that he would do what he said tonight. He would not pee in the nest. He had a chance to succeed, but the bottle of goat milk before he went to bed made him want to pee every 2 hours. He was a kitten, and he could not control himself. When he woke up the next day, the urinal pad in their nest looked like it had been flooded by the sea. Little bear, what's wrong with me wetting the bed? What's wrong with me wetting the bed? What's wrong with me wetting the bed? Chapter 329. Yulashanda got up and saw the pad that had been flooded by the sea. He shook his feet and crawled to a dry place to rest. Ao Daisai woke up as soon as he moved. The first thing that came to his nose was a strong smell. Then he felt that he was lying in a damp place, which was extremely uncomfortable. The smell made Ao Daisai understand what had happened, but he did not dare to laugh. He could only get up silently and use his sharp claws to pick up the pad. Wait, it was heavy. Yulashanda, who was lying on the edge of the bed, said angrily, Oh, Daisai, take a rest. Let the professionals do the professional work. Humph. As long as he was not embarrassed, others would be embarrassed. Just then, Luke came out in his slippers. He smiled when he saw the situation. He quickly bent down to pick up the pad and said, Not bad. He remembered that the doctor had told him to report the kitten's excretion status. So he took a picture with his phone and sent it to the doctor before throwing the pad away. After a while, the doctor replied, The kitten's metabolism is good because it drinks a lot and pees a lot. Keep it up. This reply made Lou very happy. He touched the head of the Maine Coon and went to open the can. As for why he did not touch the ragdoll, it was because the ragdoll had no hair and its skin was very fragile. If he touched it with dirty hands, he would get skin diseases. Today, Yulashanda wanted to escape from prison again, and he succeeded. Ao Daisai and Lou were shocked, and Yulashanda himself was also shocked. God, was sheep's milk so useful? Standing quietly on the floor, he felt that his limbs could support his weight for the first time. Lou did not dare to touch him for a while. He just looked at him in surprise. No wonder people said that cats had 9 lives and were very tenacious. It turned out to be true. As long as you took good care of the kitten, no matter how weak it was, it could miraculously survive. Ao Daisai came back to his senses and said, That's great. Then he walked over and used his own body to support the little monster with thin limbs and a big belly. Yulashanda was really tired after standing for a while, so he fell directly to Ao Daisai without any burden of being an idol. How are you? Ao Daisai asked worriedly. I feel okay. I obviously have more energy today, Yelishanda said excitedly. Ao Daisai didn't say anything. She just stared at him with sparkling eyes, brimming with obvious happiness. Eating in the nest was prone to germs. Since the ragdoll had come out, Lu put the plate on the ground and went to cook his own breakfast, a bowl of rice noodles. He believed that Maine Coon would take good care of the ragdoll. To be honest, if he did not raise a smart and sensible Maine Coon at the same time, he felt that it would not be so easy to raise the ragdoll. The cats ate the delicious canned food in their mouths, but their sensitive noses smelled the crazy smell of snail powder. What's this smell? Ao Daisai smelled snail powder for the first time. The pungent smell made him wrinkle his nose in confusion. Why would humans eat such smelly food? Was it rotting? Yelishanda had eaten snail powder when he was a human. He smelled it immediately and sniffed a few times. It's so sour. Then he answered Ao Daisai's question. This is snail powder. Everyone loves to eat it. You don't know anything about tomatoes. Ao Daisai. Everyone loves to eat it? Really? So he smelled it because he was not a human? After thinking for a while, Ao Daisai decided not to ask further about it, because he could not look at human food objectively from the standpoint of human beings. No, Ao Daisai. Many humans don't eat snail powder. Lu, the otaku, lived a very regular life. He did not have the sloppiness and procrastination of other otakus. On the contrary, he would tidy up the house and eat and rest when it was time. Other game anchors did not get up at 10 o'clock, but he had already started broadcasting for an hour at 10 o'clock. As the saying goes, the clumsy bird flies first, the early bird gets the worm. Since he could not beat other excellent bloggers in terms of skills, he had to get up early to get more traffic in the morning. This method was somewhat useful. After all, there were only a few anchors who started broadcasting in the morning. Many netizens clicked on it when they were bored and watched others torture noobs. This noobs was the anchor, Lu. Not to mention, being tortured by others was also something to watch. Some netizens even gave Lu some tips on account of how badly he was tortured. Of course, most of the comments were scolding him. Almost half of the comments were saying that he was lousy. Why did he become an anchor when he was so lousy? He should have gone home and worked in a factory. Lu did not get angry when he saw this. He only replied in his heart, "My house is in this city. I even have my own house. Don't you think that's infuriating?" Of course, he knew that he was lousy. It was normal to be scolded. The reason why he chose to be a game anchor was that he liked this industry. The second reason was that he was afraid of working. He had not worked a day after graduating from university. His heart could not bear the thought of entering the workplace. Being a game anchor was the best. However, he could not see a future. He felt that this was the end of his life. Occasionally, Lu would envy the great anchors with good skills. Then he would practice all night long. However, in less than 3 days, he would feel that he did not have the strength to do it. The terrible win rate told him that playing games also required talent. Without talent, he was nothing. Therefore, Lu started his life as a salted fish again. This time, because of the 2 cats, his fighting spirit was reignited. He had been holding on for a week. He believed that he could hold on for much longer. As long as his mentality was stable enough, and he did not care about whether the effort was proportional to the reward, he would not give up because of depression. A new day was about to start broadcasting. The few old fans in the broadcast room commented in surprise. Is it my imagination? I feel that Lu has been broadcasting very diligently recently. Look at the time. It's only 9 o'clock. I don't even go to work this early. Lu did not have many fans. Almost all of them replied, "Yes, yes." The broadcasting time has increased recently. The whole broadcast room echoed with his pleasant voice. It was very clean and clear. Unfortunately, he did not show his face. No matter how much the fans asked, he refused to show his face. Therefore, some people said that his EQ is low. How is that possible? Lu knew that some fans joined his broadcast room purely because of his voice. He also knew that it would be better if he showed his face. However, he was a game anchor man, not a model anchor man. No matter how bad he was at the game, he had to stick to his identity as a game anchor man. Fans, why did it suddenly increase? In the game, Lee's character joined a team. He planned to broadcast 4 rows first. However, the other team looked at his win rate and directly said to him, "Sorry, brother, we are waiting for a friend." He was politely rejected. This kind of situation happened from time to time. Lou was quite calm. He first replied to the fans' questions. No choice. Recently, there are 2 more mouths to feed at home. If I don't work hard, I can't afford to feed them. While he was talking, there was one more person in the broadcast room. This person had entered the wrong broadcast room. However, the moment he entered, he was attracted by the voice and the content of the voice. 2 more mouths? Those who had pets understood immediately. Before the person left, he typed and asked, "Cat or dog?" Lou replied happily, "It's a cat. I picked it up by the roadside after the rain." In this short period of time, Lou was rejected twice, which made him feel quite embarrassed. It seemed that all the people in the broadcast room this morning were his relatives and friends. The fans in the broadcast room were also embarrassed. After all, they all knew why Lou was rejected. They were about to persuade Lou to do it alone when a netizen who came in later said, "Want to play with me? I'll carry you for 2 rounds." It was normal for Lou to be carried away by fans who couldn't stand it anymore. He gladly accepted. "Okay, I can't ask for more." Old fans in the broadcast room. Lou is going to bring trouble to his fans again. Lou smiled and shushed them. "Don't make a fuss. Can't you just let me finish 1 round?" The person who suggested to carry him raised his eyebrows. It sounded like there was a story behind it. Well, it wasn't a story. It was an accident. Those who had carried Lou before wouldn't carry him a second time, because this guy was like a weight that couldn't be carried at all. But today, for some reason, this netizen named How had first-class skills. He carried Lou and won 2 rounds, which shocked Lou himself and the fans in the broadcast room. Lou laughed and joked, "Oh, thank you. Today's 2 rounds were a joy that my fans have never experienced before." The first-class netizen said, "You're welcome. I'm going to class." It turned out that he was still a student. Lou swallowed back his offer of adding him as a friend. After all, he always thought that playing games was a stumbling block to going to school. Without the guidance of a skilled player, Lou continued to be defeated in the broadcast room. He didn't know how many times he was defeated in one day. He was glad that today's profits were good, and he could order the cat products that he had chosen yesterday. He heard that no matter how expensive the cat food was, it didn't contain as much nutrition as one would expect. Lou searched online for tutorials on how to make cat food and contacted bloggers who taught how to make cat food. He explained the specific situation of his cats and asked for advice on how to make them better. Yolashanda, who was picky about his food, didn't like to eat dry cat food. He liked to eat cat food with fresh ingredients. Knowing that Lou was going to make cat food for himself and Ao Daisai, he was so happy that he wagged his tail. Ao Daisai had to remind him, "The way you wag your tail is very similar to a dog's. Be careful." Yolashanda continued wagging his tail and confidently explained to Ao Daisai, "Do you know what the nickname of the ragdoll is?" Ao Daisai's expression said it all. He didn't know, but what did this question have to do with the problem he had mentioned before? Yolashanda said, "The nickname of the ragdoll is the ragdoll dog. It's a cat that behaves like a dog, so it's natural for me to wag my tail like a dog." Lou turned his head and saw the 2 cats squatting at his feet, as if they couldn't wait to eat the cat food in the pot. He knew that he had made the right decision. The cost of making cat food was more affordable. The cost of 1 can was enough to feed the 2 cats for a day. "It's dangerous in the kitchen. You go out and wait for me. I'll bring it right away." Lou opened the lid of the pot as he spoke. When he picked up the stainless steel bowl with his gloves, he saw that the cats had already left the kitchen. "Good girls." Yolashanda didn't want to go out, but Ao Daisai said, "You wet your bed and eat a lot. If you leave a bad impression, they won't keep you." Yolashanda immediately stopped sitting with his legs crossed and obediently went out with Ao Daisai to wait for the cat food. Yolashanda of today had long been worn out by his unfortunate life. Even if someone pointed at his nose and said that he was a glutton and wet his bed, he wouldn't be angry. Because it was true. The author has something to say. Joe, brave and brave, facing a bleak life. Also, there was no need for me to be a 3D cat. I had a ragdoll myself, and my friends had ragdolls and Maine cats. I was very familiar with both types of cats. As for the pet bloggers' videos, I haven't seen any of them, and I don't know their names. If it's because they're the same breed, then it's not necessary. These two types of cats are very common household pets. Yelashanda, the exquisite ragdoll, is reasonable. The handsome and mighty Maine Ao Daisai is also reasonable. I didn't randomly set it. Chapter 330. The freshly cooked cat rice was steaming hot. Lil put it in cold water to cool it down. 5 minutes later, the two cats ate the food. Perhaps the ragdoll had been through a life-and-death situation and craved food, so he always ate fiercely. Maine was much better. Not only did he eat very gently, but he also looked up from time to time to observe the ragdoll next to him eating, mainly because he was afraid that he would choke. Fresh food was indeed more delicious. After Alisanda had eaten his fill, he went back to his nest. Speaking of which, the meal just now had exhausted him to death. Moreover, after eating his fill, he had suddenly gained weight. His weak limbs could no longer support his body. Lying down was the most comfortable. Yelashanda felt an itch in his ears, but his feet could not reach his ears. He tried hard and could only ask Ao Daisai for help. Help me scratch my ears, Ao Daisai. Ao Daisai was still on the CD. He jumped into the nest and carefully scratched Yelashanda's ears. Not this one, it's left. Yelashanda turned his left ear. Okay. Ao Daisai was afraid that his claws were too sharp, so he chose to use his mouth to solve the problem of Yelashanda's ears. When Lu saw this, he immediately went to prepare cotton swabs and eardrops. Not only Yelashanda was forced to clean his ears, but Ao Daisai was also forced to do the same. However, after using the eardrops, their ears were clean and comfortable. When Yelashanda's ears were being cleaned, his paws could not help but tremble, as if he wanted to scratch his own ears. This was a cat's instinct, and he could not control himself. However, he realized that Ao Daisai did not know how to do it. He thought it was strange. Don't you want to touch your feet when you're cleaning your ears? Ao Daisai, who had excellent self-control, asked in confusion. What's wrong? You can't control yourself. Yelashanda pouted. From that day onwards, Alu made enough cat food for Ao Daisai every day and added some canned food. Ao Daisai was no longer worried that Yelashanda would run out of food. That was when Ao Daisai started to show her true appetite. But Lu didn't notice it. He just thought that as he grew older, the cat's appetite was getting bigger. The doctor had said that both cats were large cats and that they would eat a lot in the future, so he was mentally prepared. Lu was under a lot of pressure. He had to take care of himself and the two cats 3 meals, and the rest of the time he was streaming. The cat nest was placed in Lee's room so that he could detect any problems with the cats in time. Otherwise, he was afraid that he would not be able to take care of the two cats when he was too focused on his work. The kitten at home slept after eating, so Lu deliberately lowered his voice. During the lunch break, the skill player called Hao entered Lee's channel again, but he didn't say anything. He just quietly watched Lu play with other players. The sharp-eyed Lu, welcome Hao, we meet again. Hearing the host call his name, Hao sent a gift. The game just started. The other teammates asked Lu what he was good at. To be safe, Lu said helplessly, I'll drive. The fans in the live broadcast room laughed. Although Lee's combat awareness was not good, his driving skills were not bad. That was the only thing that could be said about him. However, driving was also very dangerous. He was almost a target, and the death rate was very high. If he died early, it would be bad for his teammates, so Lu asked his teammates to take care of him. That was not a problem. Teammate A, bro, why are you speaking so softly? Lee's first reaction, huh? Can't you hear me? Teammate B, it's okay. It's easy to ignore him when he's sandwiched between us. They were both loud, so it was easy to ignore Lee's voice. Lu smiled. Sorry, my cats are sleeping next to me. Hearing this, everyone lowered their voices. F***CK, are you kidding? Next to the keyboard? It seemed that they knew how to play. Lu turned his head. The two cats were sleeping soundly with their bellies on their backs. Not so close, near my chair. Then the boys started chatting around the cats. Because of their cute chat, the number of viewers in the channel slowly increased. New fans said, "I'm not here to watch the host play games. I'm here to listen to his chat." Some fans said, "The host's voice is very good. It's a pity that he's playing games. Go sing." They tried to persuade the host to change his career. Lou replied, "Sing? No, I'm only suitable to be behind the scenes." The fans were curious. Why? Is it because his image is not good? Lou was afraid that the fans would ask him to show his face, so he went with the flow. Yes, he's not good-looking enough to be a star. The fans lost interest in Lee's appearance and started to talk about the cats. "Let's see your cats." Lou said, "They're recuperating. I'll show them when they're better." While they were talking, the game ended. Lou did well. The stingy fans gave him gifts, and he saw that Hao gave him gifts again. How could he let that happen? Lou thanked him first, then tried to persuade him with a smile. "Hao, you've given me gifts twice today. Don't give me any more." As soon as he said that, the other people in the channel also noticed this unfamiliar rich guy. They started to tease him. Lou is going to be kept by a rich guy. Lou said, "You're welcome to be my sugar daddy." Without hesitation, he sent a friend request to Hao and asked, "Do you want to play in the next game?" "One of my teammates is not playing the next game. They're short of one person." Hao replied, when he thought he was playing with Lou, but he didn't expect it to be 4. He immediately sent a message. 1 versus 3? Lou was speechless. He thought that this little brother was really arrogant, but he didn't hate him. No, they're quite good. "So, you're still 1 versus 1. Hao didn't know which word amused him, but he sent a smiley face and became very easy to talk to. "Okay, I'll do a good deed every day." Just like that, Hao played with them during the lunch break. The game was very exciting. It was almost 1 versus 3. Lee's channel also received an unprecedented number of viewers, but they were all here to watch Hao. Who is this Hao? Is he streaming by himself? Brother Hao is awesome. Let's stream by ourselves. This streamer is too lousy. Why are you his nanny? The comments came quickly. Lou pretended not to see them, but Hao replied to these people. "Us? Are we close?" Lou was shocked. Because of his personality, he didn't dare to talk to the netizens. But it felt good to talk back because Hao didn't appreciate it. Several fans were angry. Lou felt that something was wrong and quickly explained, "Don't take it too seriously. Hao is still a student. He doesn't have time to stream." He tried to smooth things over, and the atmosphere in the channel was changed. Hao also had to go to class. Before he left a message to Lou. "Are we still playing after school?" Lou was flattered. "Yes, I'm streaming at 7. During the 2 hours from 5 to 7, he had to cook and take care of the cats. He also had to talk to the cats about what happened today. Speaking of which, he didn't have any social problems when he was with the animals. He even tended to talk a lot. Lee's skills were terrible. Yolashanda and Ao Daisai were not interested in Lee's stream content. Their focus was on Lee's recent income. They hoped that the Good Samaritan could coach Lou for a longer time. After all, one is marked by one's company. Maybe Lee's skills would improve after a long time. On the other hand, Lou didn't think too much about it. He knew that he wasn't a very interesting person. Hao would slowly realize that he was boring and find new friends. This was from experience. At 7 in the evening, Hao came to Lee's channel and the two of them played together. His teammates in the afternoon came online one after another. They contacted Lou and said they wanted to play together. But Lou asked for Hao's opinion. Hao said it was tiring to play together. He only wanted to relax at night and write his thesis late at night. "Lou, are you graduating soon?" "Hao, yes. But I'm not graduating from university. I'm graduating with a doctorate." "Lou, pat your head." Hao, who was about to graduate, might have realized that Lou misunderstood him. He said, "How about connecting to the mic?" One should connect to the mic when playing games, but Hao is always typing. Lou thought it was inconvenient for him, but it turned out he could. "I thought it was inconvenient for you," Lou said after connecting the mic. Hao's voice came from the headset. "I just thought it wasn't necessary." Although he heard Hao's voice and knew he wasn't young, Lou still thought he was a few years older. "Okay, go and write your thesis when it's 10. You can't be careless about it." Writing a thesis is very tiring. Hey, don't be too obvious when you talk to your younger brother. Hao, after playing for a long time, he still didn't hear Lee's cat meowing. "Doesn't your cat meow?" His blue fatty loved to meow when it was young. Lou, no, it's very quiet. They're very loving. I'll let you see them later. Not now. You like cats too, right? You'll be sad if you see them. Hal understood something and was silent for a moment. After a few days, Lou figured out that Hal only had time to go online during lunch break. The rest of the time, he had to wait for 3 hours at night. It was very regular. But in fact, Hal didn't play games so often before. He only picked up the game because he had some troubles in the real world. That was one of the reasons. 2. He wanted to help a poor streamer. After about a month, the results were very good. Although Lou was still not good at playing games, many fans were willing to stay and watch him get beaten up. He also wanted to see if the streamer's cat had grown up. After the last game, Hal said to Lou, "I'm going to be busy. I don't think I'll have time to play games with you in the future. Good luck." Lou was caught off guard. A sense of loss filled his brain. After a few seconds, he replied, "Oh, okay. Are you preparing for a job? Or do you want to continue your studies? Okay, go to your work. Let's play games together when you're free." However, in his heart, his fate with how it had already been cut off from this point onwards. This was speaking from experience. They met by chance for more than a month. It was short and shallow. Hal, who had no social phobia and wasn't sentimental, didn't think too much. He was just telling the truth. He was really busy. When he wasn't busy, he would continue to play games. It was a very straight man's idea. It wasn't that Lou wasn't straight. He was just more sensitive. He needed a few days to digest Hal's loss, but it wasn't as bad as before because he had 2 cats to keep him company at home. The little ragdoll and Maine were growing well. Except for the fact that one was still bald, they were now no different from a healthy cat. Maine, who had grown up, was like a gentle big brother. He followed the little ragdoll every day. Liz saw him as a bodyguard, a nanny, and a father. Seeing the 2 cats getting better and better every day was too healing. Lee's mood also improved without any medicine. Coincidentally, the cat group was buying cat toys. He thought that the 3-month-old healthy kittens should have their own toys, so he bought a batch. There was a small car, a trampoline, and an automatic cat teaser. The little ragdoll had never seen anything like this before. She went crazy as soon as she brought them back. Forget about the small car and the cat teaser. A.O. Daisai didn't even look at them. He couldn't understand why Yolashanda would be attracted to these 2 things. But the trampoline was good. It was so comfortable to be bounced into the air and then free fall. Yolashanda, what's wrong with the small car? It's so fun to play around. What's wrong with the electric cat teaser? Isn't it fun to exercise? But he seriously agreed. The trampoline was the most fun. The only problem was that they could only take turns. When A.O. Daisai was playing, Yolashanda could only wait patiently. Sigh, Yolashanda said to herself. If only Lou was a rich 2nd generation. I'll buy 2 trampolines. They, who were content, lost their sense of normalcy because of a trampoline. The author has something to say. The seeds of ambition are sown in Yolashanda and A.O. Daisai's hearts. The days of contentment can't go back. Chapter 331. It was the day of the vaccination. Lou put the 2 cats into the same air box and brought them to the doctor who treated the cats. How are Big Brother and Little Brother? Lou was not in the mood to name the cats, so he just named them Big Brother and Little Brother. Little Brother is growing fur, Lou said happily. He then carried Yolashanda out of the airbox. The doctor saw that the ugly little monster was now bristling with fur. There seemed to be static electricity surrounding the kitten. Ha ha ha, you've grown up. Feel the muscles on your hind legs. Whether or not they could get vaccinated depended on this. He's laughing so maliciously. Is he laughing at me? Yolashanda asked A.O. Daisai. Am I ugly now? The mirror at home was too high. Yolashanda had not looked at herself in the mirror, so she did not know how she looked. No, you're not ugly. You're furry, A.O. Daisai said. In just over a month, the kitten had grown to be chubby. The doctor praised, your muscles are good. Are you usually very lively? Lou, who had social phobia in front of others, talked nonstop about his cat. He's very lively. He jumps around when he's not sleeping. He's very passionate about toys and has a good appetite. His childhood experience did not seem to have affected him. He's very cheerful. He's completely different from what I thought of cats. He's more like a dog. The doctor laughed. Look continued. Maine is more mature. He usually takes care of his little brother. He has a very good personality. He looks domineering, but he's actually very gentle. The doctor said, yes, Maine is very suitable for a family partner, especially for families with children. It's great to have a Maine. He's very gentle. Yelashanda was happy to hear other people praising Ao Daisai. Ao Daisai was good in every way. The doctor said, ragdolls have been very popular in recent years, but a good-tempered one is very rare. Haha, if not for their good looks, there would be no market for them. Lou said confidently, my cat should be very good. Yelashanda thought, yes, yes. Yelashanda was a beautiful cat with both good looks and good looks. Come, cut your nails first. In the process of cutting the nails, the doctor found that the two cats were very cooperative. He began to envy Lou for having two little angels. Unlike his cats, they were all hot-tempered. Every time they cut their nails, it was as if they were fighting a war. Before they went out, they didn't know that they were going to get vaccinated today. It could be said that they weren't mentally prepared at all when they were poked with a needle. Fortunately, the doctor was very skilled and finished the operation in a short while. Stay and observe for half an hour, the doctor said. Yelashanda fell asleep in the air box after the vaccination. Ao Daisai only felt that the place where he was injected was a little sore, which made him want to lift his leg to touch it. Lou reached over and gently massaged Ao Daisai's injection site. Because it was quite comfortable, the massage made the Ao Daisai fall asleep. It was rare for him to come to the hospital, so Lou refilled it with goat milk powder. He had already finished the previous bottle, and he felt that it was very effective. He decided to let the cat eat it until it was 1 year old. There were also 2 bottles of nutrition cream and the anti-puffing cream. It seemed like he only needed to buy one. The little ragdoll didn't need it. That was true. Yelashanda didn't have much fur, and Ao Daisai usually licked it for him. However, Ao Daisai was very careful and wouldn't eat the fur. That was why he didn't eat the anti-puffing cream. Seeing that he didn't eat it, Lou decided not to buy it next time. He could try to buy wheat to germinate. It was said that wheat seedlings could also be used as anti-puffing cream. The wheat seedlings sprouted very quickly. In just a few days, there was a patch of green. Yelashanda liked to bite the wheat seedlings, but most of the time, he would chew them for fun. He would chew them twice to clean his teeth and spit them out. Lou sighed. In the past, the utensils used to feed the cats water were ordinary bowls. As the cats grew up, Lou changed them to electric water feeders. Water flowed 24 hours a day. Yelashanda and Ao Daisai were very interested in the water feeders. Yelashanda couldn't resist the temptation and took a sip. However, he immediately retracted his mouth and said angrily, "This thing is leaking electricity." "What do you mean?" Ao Daisai didn't understand. Yelashanda said, "I don't know how to explain it. Try it yourself." Intrigued, Ao Daisai tasted it himself. Then, he understood what it meant by leaking electricity. The 2 cats turned their heads and made a gesture of digging cat litter. Then, they didn't go near the electric water feeders anymore. Lou was speechless. The electricity in the water feeders was very weak. He couldn't feel it with his fingers, but the 2 cats could. That was why he never understood why the 2 cats didn't care about the water feeders. It wasn't until he went to the cat bar and saw a cat shoveler saying that the water feeders were leaking electricity that the truth was revealed. Lou changed the big bowls to serve as water bowls for the masters. The spacious water surface could finally shine on Yelashanda's whole body. This was a sad story. Yelashanda didn't like to feel like he had been electrocuted. However, he comforted himself that it was okay. It was just an awkward period. Meow Meow grew very fast. Maybe in a month, his fur would explode. Ao Daisai was still the best. He was in good condition and had a lot of fur. Although he was less than 4 months old, he was already as big as an adult cat of other breeds. His tail was like a chicken feather blanket. Lou took some photos of him. He was going to fulfill his promise to Hal. In the blink of an eye, a week had passed. As expected, Hal hadn't come online. Photos? Yelashanda heard the news and came over. He squeezed next to A.O. Daisai to steal the camera. Lu was embarrassed. In fact, he only wanted to take photos of Maine and send them to Hao. Hao might just laugh it off. There wouldn't be any other problems. However, if he sent the doll, it would cause trouble for Hao. He would have to unfold the doll and waste Hao's time. If Hao didn't care about the doll at all, then Lu would be asking for trouble. However, the doll loved to take photos. Lu couldn't bear to take him away, so he took photos with him. Lu sent a photo to Hao. "Hello, Hao. You said you wanted to see photos of the cats, but they weren't in good condition, so I didn't take any. Now that the cats have grown up healthy, I'll take some photos for you. P.S. You don't have to reply." While Hao was busy, he opened the message and looked at the photos. When he was about to send some photos of Blue Fatty to Lu, he saw the words, "You don't have to reply." He fell into deep thought. In Hao's impression, Lu looked easygoing on the surface, but in fact he was very distant. Hao still replied, "So you have Maine and a doll. They look good. They look smarter than Blue Fatty." Lu sighed and chatted with Hao. "Parent, don't compare your children. Give your children a happy childhood." "Hao, okay. Why don't you let me reply?" The topic changed so fast. Lu blinked. "I don't want to waste your time." "Hao? Question mark. You think too much. I still have time to reply, but sometimes it takes me a long time." After replying, he suddenly disappeared. A few hours later, he chatted with Lu again. Lu got used to Hao's pace of chatting. To sum it up, Lu didn't have to worry about disturbing him. You can send or disappear whenever you want. It's not something you need to be embarrassed about. What a new relationship. Lu thought to himself. Gradually, Lu would send all kinds of messages to Hao's chat box. Sometimes it was information sharing in the middle of the night, and sometimes it was about buying cat products. It was normal to send cat messages to each other, but other than raising cats, their lives were very different. Hao was an elite in the workplace. He had meetings one day and another the next, and he had to go on business trips. The cats were all taken care of by nannies. Lu sighed. "You were such a bad father." Lu was a good father. He stayed with the cats 24/7. He cleaned the cats himself, cooked for them, and made milk for them. These are things that Hao, a busy man, couldn't do. Sometimes he wondered if Blue Fatty would change his father if he had a mind of his own. Without Hao's support, the number of fans in the game, streaming room, dropped sharply. Soon, the income became lukewarm. Lu, who had seen prosperity, couldn't help but lose his composure. He couldn't share his feelings in Hao's chat box, so he could only talk to the cats. Yolashanda was anxious. "Can you do it or not?" He and A.O. Daisai didn't have to buy 2 trampolines, but at least their living standards wouldn't deteriorate. After the financial crisis at home, Yolashanda and A.O. Daisai were no longer in the mood to play. They jumped onto the computer table and squatted beside it to watch Lu play games. It didn't matter if they didn't watch, but when they did, they gritted their teeth. Lu was really bad at playing games. His hearing wasn't good, and he couldn't hear the faint footsteps. He was often ambushed, and his vision wasn't good either. He couldn't find the enemy hiding nearby. His hand speed wasn't good either, and he was always a beat slower than the enemy when shooting. As they watched, Yolashanda and A.O. Daisai felt that Lee's fans were probably masochists. In a new round, Yolashanda was still a manic spectator. F*CK. There's an enemy at 3 o'clock. I saw it. Why didn't he see it? This is a kill that should be taken. What the hell is Lu doing? This was related to whether Little Bear would eat vegetables or meat in the future. A.O. Daisai was also very anxious, but he didn't say anything. He directly used his paws to indicate where the enemy was. It had to be said that the cat's senses were very sensitive. There was no flaw in the screen at all, and the cat predicted the direction of the enemy. At first, Lu was confused and told the cat not to mess around. After 3 times, he understood the cat's meaning. He was very shocked. How could the cat predict the enemy's movements? This was too amazing. Lee's fans in the streaming room. Wow, you killed 2 in a row. Lu, you finally couldn't help but cheat? With the help of the magical cat, Lu smiled bitterly and said, "No, but how could he explain this?" He felt that no one would believe him, even if he explained. "Lu, forget it. I'll turn on the camera. See for yourselves." The external camera at home was not used even once. After this round, Lu found a camera and placed it at a suitable position to face the screen. His two cats appeared innocently. "What are you doing?" Yolashanda wanted to see the world in chaos. "I'm exposing you," the physics cheat. Currently, his fur was not very thick. At least he was not very bald, so he didn't feel inferior at all. He even squeezed in front of the camera and acted cute. Yolashanda's canned food and cat bed were all crowdfunded by these investors. They had to be respected. Ao Daisai faced the camera with a calm and cold face. There was a hint of doubt in his eyes. But once the game started, he stretched out his paws and started to get busy, not letting any enemy go. Fans in the streaming room. Who would believe it if they didn't see it with their own eyes? "Lu, if I don't play this video today, I won't be able to clear my name even if I jump into the Yellow River." Author has something to say. Boss AO, is this a punishment? QAQ, let me see the punishment. Chapter 332. Something interesting happened in Lee's livestream. Word of it spread like wildfire, and the number of fans increased rapidly. In the end, even the network manager was attracted to watch the livestream with great interest. This was the cutest cheat he had ever seen. You can't ban him, but the network administrator was still the network administrator. No matter how cute he was, he still had to take care of him. The network administrator said, "This is against the rules. It's a physical cheat." The fans laughed like crazy. "Network administrator, why don't you control the cat? Otherwise, it's not fair to your opponent." Li thought so too. He quickly agreed. "Okay, I'll carry him away." The two cats were dumbfounded, especially Ao Daisai. Why not? Yolashanda was fine. He knew that this wouldn't work, unless Lu didn't expose himself. But Lu was too honest. Damn it. Ao Daisai slapped Lee's hand. "Don't touch me," was written all over his face. The fans in the live stream were amused. Ha! He doesn't want to leave. He's addicted. Lu was quite surprised that Ao Daisai had slapped him. It was the first time Ao Daisai had slapped him. It was just a light slap. Ao Daisai didn't even flash his claws, as if he didn't want to be touched. So he was helpless. Forget it. I'll play solo later. I won't play according to his instructions. Because the number of fans in Lee's livestream had increased too quickly, the platform automatically put him on the hot list. This was great. More and more fans flooded in. "I heard that you can see a cheat cat here. What kind of cheat cat is it? Let me KK." Someone connected me and asked me to come in and take a look. 23333. It's really fresh. Bro, your cat. Why don't you appreciate it? In this situation, shouldn't you hit where you want to hit? At the moment, the game was still going on. Ao Daisai didn't care about what was happening outside. He was still giving instructions to Lu. But he found that Lu didn't listen to his instructions. He couldn't help but feel confused. Why didn't he play? There were so many people watching. He would be scolded for cheating openly. It would also bring hate to Lu. The tactful Yolashanda secretly tugged at Ao Daisai's arm, telling him to stop being so busy. This was not allowed. Because Lu didn't listen to the cat's commands, the fans in the live broadcast room were enraged. They couldn't wait to grab the gun and help him shoot. What nice cat. Why didn't the host appreciate it? Looking at his battle awareness, he wasn't even as strong as a cat. Wasn't he ashamed? As they spoke, something even more bizarre happened. There were even people bidding in the comments section, saying that they would spend a lot of money to buy the anchor's cat. Although it was a joke, it fully reflected their current mood. Lu explained, "Don't worry, it's not that I don't want to fight, it's just a cheat. My opponent doesn't know about it. If I fight, my stream will be blocked. Please understand." There was such a situation. Does this count? Not long after Lu finished, a familiar ID posted, "Your cat is so interesting. I want to compete with him. Do you want to join me?" It's not against the rules to find a few teammates. As soon as this ID appeared in the comments section, everyone was surprised. This was a very popular anchor on the live broadcast platform. They didn't expect him to join in the fun. Lu was also shocked. Wasn't this the famous anchor that he envied? There was a huge gap between the two, but now the anchor said that he wanted to compete with him. He never dreamed that this would happen. But the anchor didn't seem to be joking. In order to make sure that he saw it, he continued to post a few more messages. The appeal of the famous anchor was strong. Soon, only his challenge was left in the comment section. After coming back to reality, Liz said, "Okay, but I don't have any teammates. Are there any friends in the comments section who are interested? You can join in." Lee's fans wanted to raise their hands, but the Anchors team was very strong. They were worried that they would drag Lee down. After thinking about it, they decided to give the opportunity to someone stronger. Therefore, there was an awkward scene. No one responded. Just when it was awkward, Lee heard a special reminder that Hao was online. He was very happy. His smile was brighter than before. He shouted Hao's name and asked, "How come you have time to come online?" "Hao, your stream is so popular that it's out of the circle. I saw it, so I came to support the boss and the second brother." Then he sent the most expensive gift. Lee was stunned at first. Then he felt his heart ache. He hesitated and said, "Do you know that the gift platform takes half of the gift?" Hao had never been an anchor, so he didn't know. "Then I'll send it to you directly next time." "Lee, that's not what I meant." "Fans, that's enough. Stop flirting." After knowing the ins and outs of the matter, Hao naturally joined the team. When the old fans saw that Hao was here, they raised their hands confidently. They were no longer afraid of being a burden to Lee. With Hao, everyone else would be a burden. No matter who they belonged to, they shouldn't despise anyone. Thus, the battle began. After a while, Lee's stream was full of people. In contrast, most of the viewers from the Anchors team came over. After all, it looked very interesting. It could be said that 70% of the netizens who flooded into Lee's stream were passers-by who didn't usually watch games. Among them, 50% were fans of cute pets. The number of people in the stream shocked Yolanda. These people automatically turned into prophets in his mind. "Ha ha, I'm going to be rich tonight. Ao Daisai, perform well. Oh, how about I help too?" Yolanda said. "No." Ao Daisai immediately refused. "Just stay here and be the atmosphere team." But there was no sense of accomplishment in the atmosphere team. However, there were too many paws pointing at him. Indeed, Lee couldn't digest it. Thus, Yolanda reluctantly restrained his desire to perform and was willing to be the atmosphere team. The game officially entered the battle stage. Ao Daisai stared at the screen attentively. "Fans, it's coming." All the fans in the stream were waiting for Meow Meow to perform. They wanted to compete with the cat's observation skills. However, when the cat raised its paw, they still didn't notice that the enemy was about to appear. How did the cat sense it? It was very simple. The focus of a human's vision was different from that of a cat's. A cat's vision focused on moving things. As long as it moved, Ao Daisai's paw would quickly mark it. Lee moved his gun to aim, and the enemy just happened to appear. Bang! Lee didn't hesitate to pull the trigger and obtain a kill. The fans in the stream cheered for him. For a moment, there was an endless stream of gifts. Yolanda felt as if his soul was about to fly. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Hao's laughter sounded. It sounded very happy. However, he suddenly quieted down. After about 3 seconds, he fired 2 shots. The system notified him that he had obtained a kill. "Sire, my unfilial son only knows how to eat. I can only rely on myself." Lee laughed. Ha! As soon as he finished laughing, he heard his teammates cry for help. They immediately stopped joking and rushed to support him. The opponent was also very strong. The other 2 teammates were eliminated one after another. The game of ambush and be ambushed officially began. Not only was Lee's palms sweating, but even the audience in the stream was on tenterhooks. A bullet might fly at any time. The opponent wanted to block Lee, but they realized that Lee's cat was too strong. Before it appeared, it was already caught. It was very accurate every time. They could only hide. They didn't even have a chance to get close. Thus, the 2 discussed and decided to kill Hao first. However, Hao was also very strong. He seemed to know their plan. Thus, he stuck close to Lee. F***CK. If they dared to snipe, Lee would discover them. It wasn't a good idea for them to continue like this. Lee said, "I'll charge. You keep your distance and finish them off." He had boss, so he wasn't afraid of moving. As long as the opponent dared to make a move, the cat would notice. "How? If you win this round, send your cat over for Fatty to train for 3 months." Lee laughed. That'll take two. Boss can't be separated from his brother. As he said that, he charged. The opponent was somewhat at a loss. Should they move or not? Indeed, if they didn't move, they would be caught by Lu. If they moved, they would still be discovered. They couldn't escape no matter what. They could only plan for the worst. One of them would attract Lee's attention while the other would snipe him. The problem was that Lu had Hao behind him. They could only pray that Hao would miss. Then, it would be a one-on-one battle. The opponent made a plan and acted immediately. As soon as they moved, they were locked onto by Ao Daisai. Lu sniped the opponent. Cat gave him the hint that it was a double position. The time between Lee's sniping and moving was very short. He didn't get shot. This was the best performance he had ever performed. The stream was boiling with excitement. Another wave of rewards and gifts came in. The audience was shouting, "Boss is awesome." The name of the host's house cat was too domineering. Hao's position was very good. He saw the person who was sniping Lu at the first moment. He didn't hesitate to shoot him a few times. They won this unique game. However, the most popular person in the comment section was the cat. The two humans had nothing to do with it. Lu and Hao were both amused. At the same time, they were surprised. Wasn't the number of people in the stream a bit too much? This was the most popular platform when it was the most popular one. Looking at the income, Lu was so shocked that he was speechless. "How? Look, you're popular." After a long time, Lu replied, "This was an accident. Boss is not a business tool. I won't let him appear on camera again." This idea was supported by Hao. "Yes, I think it's better not to appear. Let him have a happy childhood." Lu. Hao explained seriously, "A life with too much attention will not be happy." That was true. So, after this round, Lu closed the video and said that he wouldn't let the cat participate in the game again. However, the audience in the stream couldn't accept this. "Why don't you let Boss appear? What are you thinking? You don't want to earn money." "Lu, I don't need a lot of money. I just need enough." "What?" Yolashanda's face twisted. Who had the face to say that they couldn't even afford a trampoline? How could they treat money like dirt? "Mr. Lu, may I ask if you have reached the standard of being well off? If not, be more realistic. Don't talk nonsense." Because of Lee's blind optimism, Yolashanda was so angry that his tail was shaking. Ao Daisai quickly comforted him. "Don't be too angry. You should have earned a lot tonight. It's enough for you to spend for a while." Yolashanda, "Boo-hoo, that's all money." The fans in the stream were making a fuss when they couldn't see the cat. Lu had a headache. He cleared his throat and said, "It's still early. I'll play a solo match for everyone." "Fans, is there a cat?" "Lu, there's no cat." "Fans, TSK. Then who wants to watch your solo match?" "We want to watch the cat. Hurry up and show us the cat." On the big screen, the fans' comments kept scrolling. Yolashanda squatted on the table and watched. Ao Daisai was too popular. How easy was it to find the enemy? He knew how to do it too. Didn't that mean that Yolashanda was also very popular? The fans didn't know what to say. Lu sighed and said to everyone, "Then I'll play a song for everyone. I'll open a can for the cat first." Ao Daisai's ears twitched and immediately jumped down. However, he found that Yolashanda was still looking at the screen. He was puzzled. What was so good about the screen? Eating was the most important thing. "Little bear, eat the can." The internet-addicted little bear wagged his tail and said, "You eat first." He was reading the comments enthusiastically. This batch of netizens was too interesting. Ao Daisai raised his eyebrows. The little bear who usually couldn't walk when he saw food was actually delaying his meal because of other things. Was this still the little bear he knew? "Then I'm done eating." Yolashanda finally turned around. There were two small flames in his eyes. "I'll eat later. Leave some for me." "No." Ao Daisai was worried that he would develop a bad habit. Yolashanda had no choice but to leave the computer angrily. The author has something to say. All the guys in the world have the same father. Chapter 333. Since Lu didn't let the cats out, the fans in the live broadcast room had a lot of complaints. It seemed that they wouldn't be able to calm down anytime soon. This would also affect Lee's daily live broadcast, which made him very troubled. In the end, Hao gave him an idea. You just don't want the cats to participate in the game, right? Why don't you give them a separate account? Then you can continue to play the game without interfering with each other. Otherwise, if the fans kept making trouble in Lee's live broadcast room, Le wouldn't be able to continue. This was a good idea. Le thought about it and accepted Hao's suggestion. Okay, I'll buy them a set of live broadcast equipment tomorrow and download some games for them. Le did what he said and got everything ready the next day. Not to mention the fans who had been informed by him were full of anticipation. Even Hao said that no matter how busy he was, he would still come and watch the two cats' first solo show tomorrow. Lou, I'm so stressed. What if they don't play? Fortunately, what he was worried about didn't happen. When something appeared on the tablet, Big Brother and Second Brother rushed to grab it. That's right, they were playing cutting fruits. The two cats were cutting fruits on a live broadcast. The level of the game was so high that it made people's hair stand on end. This news spread like wildfire. Before Yelashanda and Ao Daisai could react, they found that they were trending all over the internet. An astronomical number of viewers were watching them cutting fruits. That wasn't the point. The point was that Yelashanda saw someone saying in the comments section, "Why can't I give gifts? Why did the host turn off my gift function?" It wasn't Le who turned off his gift function. It was Le who turned off the gift function of the entire live broadcast room. It turned out that the two cats were performing for free. Yelashanda, meow, 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 meow. Instantly, Yelashanda's momentum of killing fruits weakened. God, without encouragement and gifts, how could he broadcast live? It was tiring to throw fruits here and there, okay? Luckily, Yelashanda was a thief. When he saw Lou playing the game, he fiddled with the gift function and turned it on. Why was it so hard to buy a trampoline? Seeing the gifts flying all over the screen, Yelashanda's momentum of killing fruits came back. Duh. I slashed to the left, to the right, and in the middle. Yelashanda and Ao Daisai were like a pair of badminton players. One was in charge of one area, while the other was in charge of the other. But sometimes, Yelashanda would get so worked up that she liked to snatch jobs from others. The child loved to show off, so Ao Daisai could only let him have his way and clean up the mess for him. For example, she would kill the fish that escaped the net. The fans affectionately called him the last-hit demon, while the second brother was the killing demon. He was too cruel. Along the way, he passed through 5 stages and slayed 6 generals. Soon, he would be able to clear the stage. The fans were even more excited than the two cats. They kept shouting in the comments section, "Who else? Who else?" The number of viewers in their live stream rooms was increasing rapidly. On the other hand, Ali's live stream was completely deserted. The old fans walking on both sides and advised Ali, "Stop playing this stupid game. Take good care of your two cats. You'll be rich soon." Lou was speechless. One should have some backbone. His original intention was to work hard to earn money to feed the two cats, not to be fed by the two cats. At this time, Allah still didn't know that the gift function had been opened by a cat thief until Hao reminded him that the live stream room had reached the top of the list and the number of gifts. Lu couldn't believe it. Then he saw that the two cats' income from killing fruits was more than his income in a month. He fell into self-reflection about whether it was open or closed. The cats could have a better life. Why should they suffer with him? So he stopped struggling. He decided to use all the money to take care of the cats. On the first day of the fruit killing, Yelashanda and Ao Daisai gained a lot of fans and a lot of money. Allah bought a lot of things for them that day, including their favorite trampoline and running wheel. The running wheel was a good thing. It could release their excess energy. After all, the 2-bedroom apartment was too small. They didn't even have a place to run their parkour. There was also a cat tree installed on the wall, a pillar to the sky, and so on. The treatment suddenly improved. Yelashanda was overjoyed. As a cat, you have to rely on yourself. But why did he only buy one running wheel? This problem was, of course, because the house was too small. Allah didn't have a lot of things, and now the house was full of things for the two cats. At first, Yelashanda only wanted a trampoline, but now he couldn't control his desire anymore. He wanted to buy a house. Early the next morning, Lil woke up to make cat food. His heart melted when he saw his oldest brother exercising on the running wheel and his second brother drooling in his nest. He had to expose these two brothers. Because of yesterday's live stream, many people asked Lu how he raised the cats, so Lu decided to live stream his daily process of taking care of the cats. He recommended the blogger who had taught him how to cook cat food. Therefore, the blogger was overjoyed when he received a huge amount of traffic. After the live stream, a lot of cat product advertisers contacted Lu, hoping that he would sell their products. Lu refused. He didn't sell products that he hadn't used. But there was a small dried fish that the two cats had been eating, so the quality should be guaranteed. To make sure whether he would accept this order, Lu decided to go to the factory. So Lu carried the two cats, one in front and one behind, and went out. Ao Daisai was in the open cat bag on his back, and Yulashanda was in the front. It was their first time going on a long trip, so they kept looking around. A business trip, elite cat. Ao Daisai. Yulashanda naughtily stretched out his paws to harass Ao Daisai, but Ao Daisai quickly pressed his head down. The Maine Coon's limbs were longer than the ragdoll's, so Yulashanda's paws couldn't touch Ao Daisai at all. This angered him, and he bared his teeth. Lu flicked the ragdoll's ears. "You're so naughty. Why did you provoke your brother? Did he provoke you?" However, his words were of no use. Alisanda continued to attack Otis with his claws. He was determined to scratch Otis. "Did he hit you?" Lu couldn't stand the ragdoll bullying his brother, so he couldn't help but pat the ragdoll's paws. "Why are you so naughty? Your brother is so nice to you, and you still want to scratch him?" Yulashanda's hands were restrained by Lu, so he couldn't move. They were just playing, although he did want to bully Ao Daisai a little. But he knew that he wouldn't succeed. Even if Lu didn't stop him, who could scratch Ao Daisai? Because the car ride was quite far, Yulashanda fell asleep in Lee's arms. His head was tilted to one side, and his mouth was slightly open, as if he had stopped breathing. He didn't wake up until they reached the factory. Lu took out a small dried fish and put it in front of Yulashanda's nose, and he woke up immediately. Yulashanda and Ao Daisai ate the dried fish, while Lu and the staff walked around the factory to understand the production process. The environment of the factory was hygienic, and the materials used were healthy. The inspection report was also satisfactory. In the office area, Yulashanda and Ao Daisai played on the floor and went to the toilet. Knowing that they were coming, the attentive and cute ladies had already prepared food and supplies. There was an unlimited supply of dried fish. Lu was originally a social phobe, so he had little experience in society. It was also his first time coming into contact with such a business contract. He felt that he couldn't handle it well, so he asked Hao for help. With Hao's help, Lu signed a satisfactory contract for the two cats. This process made Lu realize that Hao was very smart. He had an amazing reserve of knowledge, and was so mature that he didn't look like a college graduate who had just entered society. Lu couldn't help but be envious. He grabbed Hao and praised him. Hao didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Wasn't this normal? After Hao said this, Lu went silent. He was probably reflecting on himself. Hao, everyone has their own area of expertise. No matter what lifestyle it is, as long as you think it suits you, it's fine. Lu, you're so nice. You really know how to comfort people. When they went back that night, Lu opened the two cats' live stream room and talked about what he had done with the two cats and the upcoming plans. Lu was not good at facing the camera. Only his voice appeared in the live stream, but it was obvious that he was a little nervous. After all, there were a lot of people in the live stream room. He wasn't nervous when playing games because there weren't many people. The two cats both felt the pressure from Lu. In fact, after living with Lu for so long, they already knew that this little brother had social phobia. It was already very good that he was able to take them out to meet other people today. Yulashanda left her favorite camera and came to Lee's side. She rubbed her head against him to give him some strength. Lu, who was organizing his vocabulary, quickly stroked the cats to satisfy the needs of the little baldy at home. Miraculously, with the help of the cats, he began to speak fluently again. After explaining the activities of the two cats, Lu opened a new game for them. Then he returned to his computer and started the live stream for the day. He went out for the whole day and didn't live stream. Although there was a notice, Lou was still worried that his fans would wait for him. However, when he opened the live stream room, he found that there was no one there. His fans had all gone to the cat's live stream room. Although his fans found out that he was live streaming, they only came in and said, "Lou, why are you still live streaming? Who wants to watch you play games? Go play games with the cats." Pour tea for their boss and second brother. Or they came in and said, "Ugh, didn't you say you were selling fish jerky? Send a link to our boss and second brother." Also, the children haven't eaten for half an hour. Feed them snacks. Lou, fans, it's tiring to do business. You heartless bad master, loosen the bones of the cats and feed them some water. Ah, no, do you have milk? Lou, I don't have milk, but there is in the fridge. I'll go make some. Sigh, there was no way he could live stream like this. He gave up struggling. He hoped that, after a while, people would rationally accept that his family of 3 had 2 live streams. Don't deprive him of his right to continue being a game streamer. Usually, they would drink milk before bed. In order to let the fans know that the 2 cats didn't lack food at home, Lou quickly made arrangements in advance. Today's game wasn't about killing fruits. Today's game was about playing whack-a-mole. This was a game that was tailor-made for them. Yulashanda and A.O. Daisai worked together and didn't let any of the mole go. The fans couldn't help but exclaim. After playing for half an hour, Yulashanda was exhausted and sweaty. When he saw that Lou had brought the milk, he lay down and held the milk bottle. He drank a mouthful of milk to recover his health. It's break time. Let's pause for a while. Lou pressed the pause button for the cats. Unlike Yulashanda, A.O. Daisai didn't want to drink sheep's milk in front of millions of people. He drank it out of camera. The author has something to say. The gaming live streaming circle is going to change. Sooner or later, we won't be able to beat these 2 cats. Bear, and a live streaming circle, thank you. Chapter 334. Taking advantage of the fact that the 2 cats were drinking milk and had no fans to order him around, Lou took the time to play a game of Duo. It was already 9:30 p.m. when he finished playing Duo. He wondered why there were no fans asking him to play the game in the comment section. He turned around to take a closer look, only to find the 2 cats snuggling together and sleeping soundly. They didn't even finish the goat milk that was arranged half an hour ago before they fell asleep. They must be tired from going out today. Otherwise, why would they sleep so early? Lou blamed himself and felt sorry for them. He got up and was about to turn off the live stream and the surrounding lights. However, the fans in the live stream saw him and quickly left a message. The kids are asleep. You better be gentle. Also, what are you doing? Are you going to turn off the live stream? No, I won't allow it. I want them to sleep. Ooh, don't turn it off. The cats were too tired today. Lou explained. I'll let everyone see them tomorrow. I'm tired from going out today. Then he turned off the live stream. In order not to disturb the 2 cats, Lou turned off the computer, took a shower, and went to sleep. The next morning, Lou went out early to the market to buy ingredients for the cat food. The earlier he woke up, the fresher the ingredients he bought. Every time he went out, Yulashanda was still dreaming. A.O. Daisai thought that Lou went out, but he only thought in a daze and didn't fully wake up. Because they didn't need to, being a house cat wasn't dangerous at all. After they became cats, their tense nerves automatically relaxed. In Yulashanda's words, we look like cats, but we are actually pigs. Do you understand? To be honest, A.O. Daisai didn't really understand. After all, A.O. Daisai didn't know what it was like to be a pig. Maybe it was because it was used to being self-reliant, so it didn't feel that it was hard being a cat that needed to be on camera for business. Another reason was that Alisanda liked the feeling of making money, and he liked the happy Alisanda after making money. The happy Yulashanda woke up to the smell of delicious food. He was so sleepy that his bones were soft. He leaned his face against the edge of the bed and looked up at a 45 degrees angle, just in time to see his boyfriend exercising in the morning. At 11 o'clock, some cats had already started running, but some were still sleepy and yawning frequently. When the fragrant cat food was placed in front of her, Yulashanda finally stretched her limbs, arched her back, and came out of the nest to eat. A.O. Daisai also got up from the running wheel and took a sniff of today's food. It was really good. Then came Yulashanda's surprised voice. Ao Daisai, it's the smell today. Oh my god, did you walk all the way to the market to buy it? Not only were there smelts, but there were also peeled prawns, which tempted them to lick their lips. They immediately wanted to eat, but the food was still steaming, and the cat's tongue was very sensitive, so they had to wait. Alu is rich. He finally has the money to buy us delicious food. Yulashanda held a big prawn in her mouth. She tilted her head and bit into the prawn while muttering, "It would be great if I could have such good food every day in the future." Ao Daisai said, "Wouldn't it be great if we could earn money every day?" He also held a big prawn in his mouth and ate it in 2 bites. "You finally realized the benefits of earning money, right?" Yulashanda said proudly. He remembered that Ao Daisai always did not care about money, and even said that he was a money grubber. Alu also wanted to cook delicious food for the cats every day, but he could not afford it a few years ago. If he could afford it, he would not be stingy. Now that he had more money, not only did the 2 cats at home need to improve their food, but the stray cats also received Ali's help. Food and shelter were the norm. It was cold now, and what the cats needed most was a shelter from the wind and rain. Ali bought a batch of wood and made a cat house with nails by himself. He patted some unwanted old clothes inside. It became a simple home for the cats to spend the winter. A few years ago, Alu rarely went out, which reduced the probability of encountering small animals. Now that he had adopted 2 cats, he had to go out and walk more often, and he spontaneously had the idea of going out to do something. At 7 o'clock in the evening, the food broadcast with the fans started on time. In order to prepare for the live stream, Alu had been busy all day. Finally, he finished the process. First, he turned on the live stream, and the camera was facing the festive and spacious big table. Before it started, the 2 main characters of the live stream were already squatting on the table, waiting. 2 pairs of round eyes seemed to be urging Alu to hurry up and serve the food. The fans in the live stream were also thinking, "Didn't you say that you were going to carry the food? Where are the goods?" Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our special dried fish. Today, we're going to carry the food, not the game. Please understand. Then, let me introduce the dried fish that big catfish and big catfish usually eat. It's very palatable. I'll carried a big bowl of dried fish. It's clean, nutritious, and tastes good. While Alu was reading the advertising message, he distributed the dried fish to Yulashanda and Ao Daisai. He was also smart enough to put the microphone near the cats' mouths, so that the fans could hear the crisp sound of them biting into the dried fish. We made a special trip to the factory. The dried fish is very clean and fresh. Although it's not recommended for people to eat, people can eat it. Alla picked up a piece and took a bite. Fans, hurry up and get on the yellow car. Stop reading the long advertising message. We'll buy it. Looking at his skillful movements, he usually did a lot of housework, probably trained by Pang Pang. Lou opened a can and led the cats to a room to lock them up. The poop pickers cleaned up before letting them out. That night, Hao stayed at Lee's house until late at night. It was not that Hao did not want to leave, but Pang Pang was having so much fun that he did not have the heart to carry him away. How to not tell Lou that Pang Pang had a bad temper? Not to mention the other cats, even the small dogs in the neighborhood, were beaten up by Pang Pang. So it was really unexpected that Pang 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 got along well with Big Brother and Second Brother. Or maybe it was fate. After sending Hao and Pang Pang away, Lu sat in front of the computer in a daze. He did not realize that half an hour had passed until Hao's message woke him up. "We're home." "Lu, yes, yes. You've been so tired recently. Rest early when you're home." "Hao, I'm too happy today. I can't sleep. Pang Pang and I are the same. What about you?" Lu turned back and looked at the two cats sleeping in each other's arms. He smiled. "I can't sleep either, but big brother and second brother are sleeping very soundly." "Really?" Hao sighed softly at the phone screen and rubbed his sore chest. It turned out that everyone had the same feeling. It was already late at night, but the two still chatted for almost 20 minutes before saying goodbye. The sparks between people were amazing. It could make people immersed in an incredible state, making it difficult for them to concentrate on their daily lives. Yulashanda woke up early in the morning and found that Lu was daydreaming. After cooking for them, he looked at the computer and laughed foolishly. But he did not turn on the computer at all. It was scary to think about it. What's wrong with him? Isn't he hungry? Even Ao Daisai noticed Lee's abnormal behavior. After laughing foolishly for a long time, Lu finally realized that he did not turn on the computer. He quickly turned it on and entered the live stream. After all, he had promised his fans that he would live stream today. But after playing for a while, Lu started to get distracted. He checked WeChat to see if there were any new messages or if Hao was online. It was still quite early. Elites in the workplace were busy every day and would probably sleep late on weekends. Just like that, Lu played a few rounds absent-mindedly and lost terribly. His skill level plummeted. Even his old fans could not bear to watch. Can Lu do it? Why did his skill level drop again after not live streaming for a day? He was not good in the first place. How could he watch if his skill level dropped again? Just now, those two heads were clearly within his reach, yet he was able to miss them. It was ridiculous. Lu was too hot when he played games. It was not good for his liver. Because of the criticism from his fans, Lu immediately reflected on his shortcomings. "Sorry, I didn't sleep well last night. I'll ask big brother and second brother to live stream for you." The fans in the live stream were waiting for him to say that. If he couldn't do it, the cats would do it. Lu got up and immediately opened the two cats' live stream accounts. As requested by many fans, the game today was Rhythm Master. It was a game where one had to play the piano to the rhythm of the music. It was a game that tested one's hand speed. As usual, it started from simple to difficult. Slow songs had no effect on Yulashanda and Ao Daisai. It was simply too easy. After one song, Ao Daisai did not even have a chance to attack. Or rather, it was too disdainful to attack. Next was another slow song. Ao Daisai licked its paws in boredom and sent its little bear to attack again. Fans who had played Rhythm Master before and knew how difficult it was thought, "Are you polite?" To be honest, it was a little rude. Yulashanda could still be in a daze when she was stepping on the light blocks. As the poop picker, Lu could not stand it anymore. He quickly switched to a fast song for them. Otherwise, he felt that the cats would fall asleep if this continued. As the cheerful music started, the two cats finally came to their senses. Their four round eyes said, "Are we finally alive?" However, they still did not need to go all out. Ao Daisai, who reluctantly joined in, was only helping Yulashanda to finish off the fish that escaped the net. He was still very free. "Fans, ? F***CK, this song is my nightmare. I was stuck here and could not get past it. I stopped playing in a fit of anger. Fans, don't play so casually. Otherwise, I will think that I can do it QAQ. Yulashanda, this level is already a nightmare. Then wouldn't it be several nights in a row?" He and Ao Daisai had not done anything yet. There were cats playing Rhythm Master, and they were playing it very well. This news attracted a group of Rhythm Master enthusiasts like fishing. Then they began to worship. My knees went soft with a plop. For the whole morning, the two cats' live broadcast room played other people's nightmares. The audience said, "I can't continue watching. If I continue watching, my fingers will cramp." Of course, there were also dissatisfied voices. They did not think that the two cats were good at this level. The reason was that humans only had 2 hands and cats had 4 paws. Multiplied by 2, there would be 8 paws. However, as soon as he spoke, he was attacked until he doubted life. Did your PE teacher teach you math? You play rhythm master with your palms. God damn it. It was true that the 2 cats had 4 paws, but they only used 2. Every time they pressed one paw, they had to lift one paw. Humans had 10 fingers, so it was more convenient than cats. Fans, is it so difficult to admit that others are good? Yolashanda, who was focused on playing the game, and work hard with her boyfriend for the whole morning. The money they earned was enough to buy countless raw materials for a cat house and a lot of canned cat food. He felt that life was full of meaning. The author has something to say. After all, the cats have shouldered everything. Chapter 337. When spring came, Yolashanda and AO Daisai's vaccines were used up. The last shot was the rabies vaccine. AO Daisai was very confused. Why did cats need rabies vaccines? Yolashanda said, because we don't have to be afraid of rabies. If we go out in the future and accidentally bite a dog that carries the virus, won't we be infected? With the rabies vaccine, they could fight without worry. AO Daisai was easily convinced. When they were done with the rabies vaccine, Lu could finally take them out for a walk. Most domestic cats were resistant to going out. Lu didn't know that the 2 injured cats still didn't have a beautiful vision of the outside world. Wasn't this nonsense? They used to be big cats that dominated the grassland. 2 rooms and 1 living room was too small. Okay, the outside world was so big, they were not afraid of anywhere. But the worry of walking cats was that they were afraid of meeting dogs. There were many big dog owners in the neighborhood where Lu lived. Although there was a leash, what if one person couldn't hold the leash? The tragedy of a dog biting a cat happened every few days, and Lu was quite worried. It was said that the dog owners all woke up early, so Lu would stagger with them and go out at night. And he didn't walk them in the neighborhood. He walked them in the mall. Yolashanda and AO Daisai were very familiar with such crowded places. They took the elevator and went through security hundreds of times. Alisanda was familiar with the place. Smelling the delicious aroma, he walked at the front. Finally, Alu was brought to a small shop selling fishball noodles. Alu said, "We came out after eating." Yolashanda said, "I ate a lot." The 2 cats refused to leave. Lu had no choice but to pay for a meal. He ate the noodles, and the cats ate the fish balls. The shop owner said, "Fish balls with a lot of fish. Come take a look and try it. Even the cats will eat it." While eating, the 3 were dumbfounded. Hey, there's advertising fees. Soon, the shop, which was originally quiet, was filled with customers. After satisfying his craving, Sankai finally strolled around slowly to look at the dazzling array of goods. Lu said, "Is it fair to just look and not buy?" The things here were very expensive. The same goods would cost 1/3 of the price outside. Meow. The 2 cats answered lazily. Strolling in the mall, a patrolling police dog and an uncle policeman walked towards them. Lu felt nervous and hurriedly hugged the kitten. Yolashanda and AO Daisai were not nervous. They stood up naturally and saluted solemnly when they met a respectable and adorable colleague. The patrol dog was stunned for a moment, but soon he noticed that his partner was saluting, so he quickly saluted as well. Alu was dumbfounded because the police officer was still chatting with him when he picked up the cat. "Hello, sir. Is your cat a retired working cat?" This temperament, this awareness, at first glance, one can tell that he has been in the service for a long time. Well, is he in a national cat training program? No. Lu was really dumbfounded. Fortunately, the police officer did not ask any more questions. He smiled and left. The handsome patrol dog in uniform looked back at the cats with an inexplicable affection in his eyes. Yolashanda and AO Daisai also looked back at him, their hearts filled with memories and blessings. This unusual gaze gave Lu goosebumps. Lu did not know that it was the passionate years of the 2 cats. But now they had retired. For the rest of their lives, they only needed to eat, drink, and play. Protecting the country was left to the younger and more powerful generations. Although they did not spend money today, Lu still took the cats to watch a movie. The movie was Yolashanda's favorite cartoon movie. Putting aside the fact that he had followed the sequel before, now that there was a new one, he was simply overjoyed. A.O. Daisai had accompanied Yolashanda for a long time, so she could also remember the movie by heart. Sigh. After taking a stroll outside, the two cats' paws were all black. They were very puzzled. Didn't the mall clean up every day? Why was it dirtier than the road? After walking around, Lu filled a basin with water to wash their feet. After washing, he had to blow-dry their feet. Every time it was this step, the two cats would self-cut and open their toes to dry the fur in the gaps. It's so long. Let me give you a pedicure. Lu took out a pedicure and helped the two furry monsters with their feet. The ragdoll and Maine's feet were both furry, and it was easy to hide dirt and moisture. Furthermore, Lu found that the two cats rarely touched each other. They prefer to wash their feet with water. Ever since they were unlocked to go out for a walk, Yolashanda and A.O. Daisai had to go out every day. Of course, they could understand the weather, but they were not like the dogs who could go out regardless of rain or shine. After about 2 weeks, Hao, who had to go on a business trip again, sent Pang Pang to Lee's house and asked Lu to take care of them. The reason was that Andy Lee was resting and there was no one at home to take care of them. Pang Pang liked to play with Big Brother and his second brother. Of course, Lu agreed and said, "Pang Pang is very cute. You can stay for as long as you want." This sentence made Hao feel very comfortable. His voice became softer. These two still haven't fed him self-mutilated food. I'm afraid that his stomach won't be able to handle the sudden change of food. Lu teased, "He's such a big piece of meat. You're feeding him like a little girl." He only looked sturdy. "Yes, I hope that following you can improve." Hao was on the phone while packing up Pang Pang's things. Auntie Lee had never seen his face so radiant. "Sir, what?" Annie Lee thought to herself. "Isn't it because you suddenly gave me a holiday?" How would Lu know? He took Pang Pang, who came to his door, and chatted with Hao for a while before Pang Pang left in a hurry. After half a day, Lu sent Hao a message. "Pang Pang doesn't eat the food you bring. Are you sure this is what he usually eats?" Pang Pang, who came to his house, went into Big Brother and Second Brother's food bowl for the first meal. He didn't eat the fresh cat food his dad gave him at all. Fresh cat food was the cat food that was prepared by merchants. It had a shelf life of about a month and could be eaten after heating it up in the fridge. Fatty was used to eating this nutritional ratio, but he didn't eat it. Yolashanda licked his lips speechlessly and said, "What Shafone makes is definitely better than what the merchants make. Fatty is just silly, but he's not stupid." "How?" "Then do as you see fit." "Lu, don't worry. I'll observe his digestive system carefully. Usually, I'll only walk 2 cats, and his aura was ordinary. Today, he walked 3 cats, and all of them were big. As soon as he walked out of the elevator, his aura made even dogs avoid him. This should be the theme song of Young and Dangerous." Blue Fatty was indeed a rich young master. When he was shopping in the mall, he went into the cat goods store to pick out some things excitedly. Then, he saw a fairy stick and held it tightly. Lu didn't mind and paid for him. Yolashanda looked at him with dead eyes and felt indignant. Why were Blue Fatty and the rest not here? Weren't they just shopping and not spending? Differential treatment, humph. A.O. Daisai also looked at Lu coldly. Why was Blue Fatty and the little bear not here? Lu couldn't stand such accusations, so he had to let them pick one. Yolashanda didn't like fairy sticks. He liked a colorful skateboard. He wanted to buy a skateboard, so Lu brought it over and let him try in the aisle. He would only buy it if he knew how to play. Of course, Yolashanda knew how to play. Blue Fatty, who was lying on the ground playing with a fairy stick, stared with his eyes wide open. What was this? A.O. Daisai also asked for a skateboard. On the way back, he and Yolashanda both skated back. Only Blue Fatty ran. No, Lu didn't buy it for Fatty, but Fatty didn't know how to play. He chatted with Hao in the middle of the night. The other party knew about this and only felt that he raised a stupid cat that didn't know anything. Lu quickly comforted him. It's probably a breed problem. How to know whether to laugh or cry. Thank you for your help. Lu also smiled. Well, he knew that Yolashanda didn't know how to chat, but Hao didn't mind. He kept accommodating him and leading him. He felt that if he continued to chat like this, he would soon enter into a relationship that he had never experienced before. But Hao couldn't help but contact him and wait for his news. Third, Hao came back from a business trip. He picked up Fatty and invited Alu to dinner and watch a movie. This time, Alu felt that Hao intentionally or unintentionally stared at Yolashanda. His eyes were full of heat that made him shy, but he wasn't sure if it was his own unrequited love. Maybe it was because Yolashanda's heart wasn't calm, so he mistakenly thought that everything was some kind of hint. Remember to wear more clothes when you go out. Out of the door, Hao put Yolashanda's coat on Ali's shoulder. It was very warm. You too. Alu wanted to refuse the coat, but it was too hard to refuse such gentleness. Hao pinched his face. The struggle is written on your face. Don't worry, I'm not cold. Back in the car, Hao carefully sent Alu home. Because it was too late, he didn't want to disturb the cat's sleep, so he didn't go upstairs. In fact, it was because he could see that Alu was very shy tonight, so he didn't want to chase him too closely. Yolashanda and Ao Daisai were very alert in their sleep. They woke up as soon as Alu entered the door, and then followed him. Here, it was Yolashanda. He wanted to see if Alu brought him anything good on his date. Why aren't you sleeping yet? You're so smart. Alu said gently. His eyebrows were shining with love. Yolashanda quickly told Ao Daisai the news. Alu is going to marry Fatty Land's father. It was speculated that Fatty Land's family lived in a mansion. Rounding it up, wouldn't they be able to live in a mansion soon? These few cities were indeed cold, but Alu wasn't sensitive to the cold outside. He went out to walk the cats, and because he didn't wear much, he soon had a fever. Yolashanda and Ao Daisai were worried that Alu was sick. They jumped on the bed and measured the temperature with their paws. It was terrifyingly high. What should we do? Yolashanda looked around, looking for the phone 120. Find Fatty Land's father. Ao Daisai thought that was better. Hao, who was working in the company, suddenly received a call from Alu. He was a little surprised. After all, Alu was afraid of the company. If he could send a message, he wouldn't call. Could it be something urgent? Hao quickly answered, Alu. But there was no one on the other side, only the cats meowing. Hao was stunned for a moment, and then he laughed. First and second, are you playing with Ali's phone? At this time, Alu woke up and took the phone beside his pillow. Hao. His hoarse voice and coughing made Hao realize that Alu was sick. Wait for me at home. I'll be right there. Hao dropped his work and hurried to Ali's house. He was frightened that Alu was running a fever. Fortunately, he was not confused by the fever and still knew to call for help. The two cats heaved a sigh of relief when they saw Blue Fatty leave with Lu in his arms like a gust of wind. But then, the two cats looked at each other. They hadn't eaten yet. Who would solve their food problem? Fortunately, the snacks at home were easy to get. They rummaged through the cabinets and wouldn't be hungry in a short time. The author has something to say. Yolashanda, I agree with this marriage. Hurry up and live together. Fatty Lawn, danger. One more chapter of the cat chapter was finished. Next was the last animal chapter. Chapter 338. Since Lu was not at home, the two cats became the owners of the house. Yolashanda placed the snacks on the computer table and started eating with Ao Daisai. They had wanted to play for a long time, but they never had the chance. What game do you want to play? Ao Daisai controlled the mouse and walked around the table. There were quite a lot of games on Lee's table. Let's play the shooting game that Lee usually plays. Yolashanda said without hesitation. He had wanted to play for a long time, and he could help Lu increase his win rate. It was killing two birds with one stone. Okay, Ao Daisai opened the game and logged into Lee's account. One of them controlled the mouse while the other controlled the keyboard. They played together. At the beginning, they did not have good chemistry and lost a few rounds. Later on, their paw speed improved and the situation improved. As they did not want to team up with others, they played solo. However, it was quite lonely, so Yolashanda suggested to play squad. They soon joined a mediocre team, the kind that could be seen as cannon fodder. Their teammates' voices came from the speakers. They were all guys. They introduced themselves, and then it was Yolashanda and Ao Daisai's turn. Yolashanda typed a string of words with his paw, voice inconvenient. Everyone, okay, just pay attention to the instructions. Although the team was weak, the strategy discussion was still decent. Everyone discussed what to do and what to do. Anyway, they never dreamed that their teammates would be two cats. As Yolashanda and Ao Daisai performed well, they quickly gained the trust of their teammates. Damn, brother, you're good. Your skills are not bad. Yolashanda sent a small yellow face to express his shyness. Seeing an ownerless tricycle in the distance, they quickly controlled their characters to seize it. Their teammates immediately followed. Do you know how to drive? I heard that this type of tricycle is very difficult to drive. Of course, they knew how to drive it. Although they had never driven it before, Lu often drove it. They had seen it many times. Their teammates trusted the two cats very much. They drove quite steadily, and at least the route was smooth. They did not crash into trees or fall off a cliff. There's an airdrop. Let's go and pick it up, Ao Daisai said, and stopped the car to pick up the items. At this moment, a group of people appeared to snipe them. Their teammates immediately shouted, "Watch out! Attention! We're under attack." At this time, Yolashanda and Ao Daisai had already started to harvest the enemy's heads. Their characters' movements were very smooth, and they dodged whenever they saw an enemy firing at them. They aimed as they ran and fired in one smooth motion. When they heard their teammates calling for help, they ran over to save them. Damn, if only they could talk. They wanted their teammates to carry the items while they covered them. Fortunately, his teammates were smart. When they saw that their big brother had attracted the firepower, they immediately picked up the items and ran. Everyone returned to the vehicles. Thankfully, they were facing a bunch of rookies. Yolashanda and Ao Daisai returned to the car without any pressure. They kept their guns and started to flee. His teammate praised, "Brother, your driving skills are so good, but why is your battle efficiency so terrible?" Yolashanda sighed in his heart. Sigh, it's all because of a lousy poop picker. When they reached a safe place, everyone split the items. Because the two cats were good shots, they had good guns. They did not take the protective equipment and gave it to their teammates. They took some medicine in case of an emergency. The two cats led their teammates all the way. They did not know if it was luck, but they actually had the last laugh. Their teammates were very happy and even wanted to play with the two cats. Brother, again? Brother Little Bear, again. Just like that, they kept playing the game. When they were hungry, they would eat some dried fish. Anyway, there was no one at home, so they could play to their heart's content. Of course, they would occasionally think about how the poop picker was doing. However, Hao would take good care of him and the doctor, so they did not need to worry. Taking care of themselves was to reduce Ali's burden. At the hospital, Ali's condition finally improved after a few hours of fluid transfusion. When he woke up and saw the hospital, he was very surprised. It turned out that he had forgotten how he came to the hospital. After listening to Hao's description, he vaguely remembered that he had received a call from Hao. Looking at the sky, it was already dark. Alu was shocked. Cats, Hao comforted him. "It's okay. 1 or 2 meals won't starve them. I'll go back later. As for you, take care of yourself first, okay?" After getting Ali's nod, Hao went to prepare food. He was very busy and considerate. Thinking about how he used to come to the hospital alone when he was sick, Ali's nose twitched. He did not know why he felt wronged. Didn't he always come to the hospital like this? Under Hao's care, he had dinner and lay down. Before going to bed, he still could not let go of the cats and asked Hao to go back and take a look. Hao held Ali's hand that was bruised from the foredrip and promised in a low voice, "Don't worry, I'll go after you sleep." Ali moved his fingers uncomfortably when his hand was held. Finally, he overcame his shyness and held Hao's hand. Hao smiled and directly lowered his head to kiss the back of Ali's hand. The area around the needle is all bruised. It hurts to see it. Then he said, "Why did you have a cold and fever? Did you not listen to me and don't know how to wear more clothes when you go out?" Alu felt guilty and his face was hot. He looked away and did not dare to say anything, like a child who had done something wrong. Sure enough, no matter if it was a human or an animal, they could not withstand the test. From then on, Alu and Hal lived together, and their relationship was very good. Yelishanda and Ao Daisai, as burdens, entered the house openly. Although they were Lon Pang's younger brothers in name, they'd been doing things that only the older brothers could do. In the future, when Hal went on business trips and was not at home, Lon Pang was no longer lonely. The two cats' live broadcast room gradually stopped. A long time later, people still remembered that in the market of goods that year, all the internet celebrities on the platform did not do anything to two cats that could play games. The author has something to say. Cats finished. Animals will be updated at night. You're tuning into the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.